Men lose their edge. That's why.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
You know what I love? A man who pays his bets. Shout out producer Chris. We pay our bets on this show. It's a place of pride for us. You say, Jonathan, what are you talking about? I got my my Dutch Bros caramel mocha because I picked the game right last night. Spurs take game 3 against the New York Knicks. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, be part of the chat. You can watch the show on X__ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 14:30 a.m. Big day today, kind of. We got Colts mandatory minicamp starting up. Just 3 practices today, tomorrow, and Thursday, which means we should start learning some things about the Colts over these next 3 practices because they're a little bit different from OTAs. OTAs are voluntary. Minicamp is mandatory. That means players like DeForest Buckner and Jonathan Taylor will be there. The whole band is getting back together, which is a great thing for this Colts team that's probably going to win like 7 games this year. And it's just easier to know what you have when everyone's there because even though we already know who DeForest Buckner is, we already know who Jonathan Taylor is, we know that those are, at a minimum, good players. Jonathan Taylor's probably a great one. It's still nice to see how they fit in with everybody else. Evaluating a team during voluntary OTAs is like trying to review a movie when the lead actors didn't show up to the set and the director is just reading their lines. Like, sure, you get the plots, but you don't know if the thing actually works. Now that it's mandatory, the stars are on set, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner, Shavarius Ward. We finally get to see the real movie. Don't know if it's going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be a slightly below average movie, like a 7-10 movie. But I could be wrong. We'll see. This is our first glimpse at this full Colts team. We're not going to learn much more than that, though. There are still no pads during mandatory minicamp, so the Colts' goal remains the same as it was during OTAs. We're going to have Zach Hicks on at 1 o'clock, and we'll talk through more of this minicamp stuff. Rule number 1, make sure no one gets hurt. And make sure Daniel Jones, especially, doesn't have a setback. Don't delay the timeline. Don't say, he'll be back for week 3, because then you're basically guaranteed to start 0-2 on the year. That is the biggest goal for the Colts this season. Make sure that no one gets hurt. Since you can't wear pads, it's tough to learn about the trenches, right? We'll get a better idea of the wide receiver battle. We'll see if Alec Pierce starts practicing. I don't think he's going to start quite yet, but you'll get to see some of those backup receivers competing for the spot that Michael Pittman Jr. has left open, right? So we'll get to see that battle a little bit, but we're not going to learn anything about the offensive or defensive line. Going to be tough to know if Jalen Tuimoloau has gotten better or not. It's going to be tough to know how good Jalen Farmer is as a rookie. Because you need to see those guys hit each other to know what they've got going on. You can learn about these receivers, though, right? That's where I would like to hear some headway being made in terms of who that starting Z receiver opposite of Alec Pierce is going to be. Like, you can see if a receiver can create separation in shorts when they're being covered by Sauce Gardner, Shavarius Ward, or Justin Wally. Receivers are a lot like cars. You can tell a lot by just seeing how they speed down the highway. Like the difference between a Corvette and a minivan, pretty big. I think I'd rather race in the Corvette. I don't know about you. Doesn't take long to be able to sit back, watch those 2 cars go, and figure out which one you would rather be in. Doesn't take long to figure out which one of those cars is the fastest. Receivers the same way. Would I like to see them in pads? Absolutely. Would I like to actually drive the minivan and feel how it shifts compared to the Corvette? Absolutely. But I don't need to do that to know which one is better. I think wide receiver works the exact same way, whereas the trenches are more like going to pick out a new couch. I can see certain things. I know what color I want the couch to be. I know how big I want it to be. I know if I want it to be a sectional or a love seat or just like a normal 3-cushion couch. And I can look at it like I can an offensive lineman and see if it meets those requirements. Like I can look at Quentin Nelson and immediately know, yeah, that guy has the size required to play offensive guard. I can look at Mac Salvez and say, yeah, that guy looks like a guard. I can look at Leatu Latu and say, yeah, he looks like an edge rusher. So there's certain things that you can learn based on how they look, right? With that being said, I don't know if I like a couch until I sit in it. Is it soft? Can I fall asleep on the couch if I need to? It's a question a lot of married men need to ask themselves, you know? Does my theoretical dog's hair stick to it? And yes, the dog is theoretical because my wife won't let me get one. I swear, Chris, one day I'm going to have a Great Dane named Tiny, and it's going to be great.
Looking forward to seeing your dog.
That's not a joke. I want a Great Dane so bad. We'll see if it happens or not, though. Probably not for a while. That's okay. And so that's the difference, right? Like, you have to make contact with the couch to know if you really want it or not. Offensive and defensive linemen are the same way. You have to see them make contact before you know if they've really improved or not. To know if Jalen Tuimoloau is a starting edge rusher, like you've got to see him rush in pads against these Colts offensive tackles. Whereas with 7-on-7s, 9-on-9s, and 11-on-11s, like that should be a reporting ground on which receivers are taking the bulk of the reps at the Z spot to fill Michael Pittman's vacancy. Because that's, I think, one of the biggest questions on the offense, obviously outside of how does Daniel Jones look coming off of the Achilles. I feel like we know everything else. We know that Jonathan Taylor is going to be the starting running back. We know Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and Tyler Warren are going to be the three main pass catchers this year. You know, Tyler Warren's starting at tight end. You know that when the Colts decide to run two tight ends, it's probably going to be Mo Alley Cox opposite of him. Josh Downs is probably going to be the slot receiver. Alec Pierce is going to be the best receiver on the Colts this year. We know what the offensive line is going to look like for the most part. The question is, who fills that Michael Pittman vacancy? Okay, that's still a question. And it doesn't seem like there's any sort of a front runner quite yet for that open receiver spot. Again, I've said this multiple times. I really like Ashton Dulin. I think that is the guy, as far as I'm concerned, that I would give the job to. It's because I know that he's reliable. And having a reliable wide receiver is just really nice to have. I want a guy out there that when I throw him the football, I know he's going to run the right route, and I know that if the ball is in his vicinity, that he's going to catch it. He's also a big play guy. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but against the Houston Texans, I can't remember if it was Anthony Richardson's rookie year or second year in the league, Ashton Dulin runs this deep over, and Anthony Richardson just rips one to him. And he catches it and just takes off for like this 50-yard touchdown. It was incredible, incredible stuff. Otter Creek chiming in saying a Great Dane in an apartment is like a bull in a china shop. Beep. That's good. Otter Creek, that's really good. That's why we don't have one yet. You know, one day we'll buy a house, and you know, then the pressure will really be on. It'll be like Amelia. And I think she might be listening right now. She's driving home. I'll be like, Amelia, we're in a house now. We have a big yard. Time for a Great Dane. Let's go get Tiny, you know? Anyway, let's go get Tiny. Never thought I'd say that sentence in my life, but that's okay. But again, I like Ashton Dulin for that wide receiver spot, but we'll see who ends up taking it. Like, they go sign Nick Westbrook-Akine for a reason. Deion Burks, even though he was a 7th-round pick, Colts apparently had a 4th-round grade on him, which means they like him at least a little bit, I guess. You know, they liked him so much that they had a 4th-round grade on him and they passed on him 3 times. That's, you know, that inspires a lot of confidence. But that's the only position battle we're really going to be able to look at over these next 3 days to be able to see that, like, that really matters. Because, like, you're not breaking down the difference between Arden Key and Jalen Tuimoloau and George Gums and Caden Curry when they're not in pads. Obviously, we're going to have Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson battling it out, but it's the backup quarterback spot. Who cares? Everyone's obsessing over Richardson versus Leonard, but it's like arguing over which spare tire you want in your trunk. Like, you know, it's a spare tire. It's, you know, it's fine. If Daniel Jones is healthy, that tire stays locked in the dark all year. And let's be honest, Anthony Richardson is like a high-end sports tire that we're trying to sell on eBay right now. Riley Leonard, he's like the reliable donut we're actually going to ride with if things go flat. Like the backup quarterback job is his. There is no poker face with Shane Steichen. He clearly likes Riley Leonard more. That's the guy that the Colts are going to roll with, no matter what happens over mandatory minicamp and when training camp rolls around in July or late June. I forget when it is. Okay, that receiver battle is the biggest thing that I'm paying attention to during mandatory minicamp, which is only 3 days, but you can learn a lot in 3 days. Just ask Diana Rossini's husband. Oh, man. That was good. I don't know if I'm going to make a joke better than that today.
You're on a roll, my friend.
Dude, we're off to a hot start today. Let me not get too far ahead of myself here, but that's kind of what I'm looking at with Colts mandatory minicamp. Again, we'll have Zach Hicks of Locked On Colts on. He's joining the show at 1:00. We're going to talk more Brendan Sorsby because more stuff has come out about what different conferences are doing. We're going to have Shehan Jayarajuh, who covers the Big 12 for CBS Sports. He's going to join the show at 1:40. We'll cover that. We got an awesome Top 10 Tuesday today. We'll give a little warm-up to it here. The World Cup starts on Thursday. I am absolutely stoked. I think the least American thing about me is that I really like soccer. As weird as that is to say. And, Team USA, they play their first game of the tournament on Friday, June 12th. They're playing at 9 p.m. And I'm so excited. Like, they're playing Paraguay. They should win that game. They're minus 105. And I'm so excited. We talked about it a little bit yesterday during the show. But I think Team USA has real talent this year. Like, when you break down the top 100 players in the world, Team USA probably has 3 of them. Do any of them break the top 75? Probably not. But hey, that's fine. This is the most talent we have seen on Team USA's roster and maybe ever. I mean, they have real guys playing in Europe now, and it's not like they're playing for Leeds, who seems to be on the brink of getting demoted in the Premier League every year. Like, McKenzie is a midfielder. He's an absolute stud. He's been tearing it up in the Italian league McKennie, not McKenzie. He's been tearing it up in the Italian league for years now. Christian Pulisic was really important to Chelsea for a few years. He ended up, he's playing in Italy now, and he's one of the best players in the best Italian league. And so, we've got some real talent and some really good players. I love Timothy Way. He was playing in France. I don't know where he's at now, but he's a real stud as well. And I am so excited to watch this team play on Friday because they should be maybe the best Team USA team that we've ever seen. I think this is a team that can very easily win their group, make it to the round of 16, maybe to the round of 8. I think anything past that would be a real surprise. Honestly, if they got past the round of 16, that would be a big deal. So I'm very excited about it. Top 10 Tuesday is going to get you ready for the World Cup on a more kind of national or international scale. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about Texas Tech and the Brendan Sorsby ruling. Brendan Sorsby placed over 2,000 illegal bets, including wagering on his own team over 40 times. Yet these judges in Texas just cleared him to play. Now we've got the rest of college football fighting back, and there is a boycott brewing in college sports, not only in college football, but we're talking about boxing Texas Tech out of the 3 major sports. I'll talk more about that in 3 minutes.
experience in today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The college football world is going insane over the Brendan Sorsby news, and they should be. He has no business playing football after betting on his own team. Fun fact, Brendan Sorsby bet the under on the starting IU quarterback's passing yards total in 2022. Might be the only bet that he got right during his time here. But he bet at least 40 times on his own team while underage, and then he paid people to make bets for him when he moved to a state where gambling is illegal. He legitimately broke laws. And these judges in Texas are just like, who cares? Let him play football for Tech. It'll be fun. Oh, absolutely insane stuff. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Shehan Jayarajuh joining us at 1:40. College football analyst / reporter for CBS Sports. He's going to join us to talk more about this Sorsby situation. Only in college sports could this happen. It's why the government needs to step in and help. It's why Nick Saban and these guys are going to Congress asking for some assistance. Because right now, the NCAA is like a mall security guard trying to stop a bank heist. They have no teeth. The NCAA can't win any cases. Okay, they did the right thing in deeming Brendan Sorsby ineligible. But with how everything works now, you can just go around the NCAA. You know, and there's no consequence for it. Yesterday when I was talking to Jared Dubin about this, I was like, it's like when you go to your mom and you say, hey, Mom, can I have a cookie? And she says no. And so you go ask your dad, hey, Dad, can I have a cookie? And then he says yes. And you're like, great. And then you go eat one. The problem with that analogy is if your mom was anything like my mom, she wore you out if you did something like that. Okay? Whereas with this, there is no consequence for going around the NCAA. And it is a major problem in the sport. This isn't the first time that we've seen this. Do you know why guys can transfer as often as they want to now? Because a judge in West Virginia ruled in favor of some West Virginia athletes who wanted to transfer multiple times. We saw this happen during basketball season when an Alabama judge allowed a former college player that turned pro to return to Alabama to play basketball for them this year. The legal system is treating college sports like a bad buffet where players can just sneeze on the food and then still get served. It's disgusting what they're allowing these athletes to get away with. It's insane. And I understand that everyone is supposed to be pro player and we're not supposed to give people consequences. And apparently having a gambling addiction now is a mental health thing. I would just call it irresponsibility. And, you know, if we were to punish Brendan Sorsby for this mental health issue, it would just make his mental health even worse, which is just a load of bull crap. It's disgusting. And the sport has to find a way to police itself. And I have some good news. It looks like the conferences are going to step in and do that. There are reports from Pete Thamel that the Big Ten is having a meeting later this week to discuss a mandate to not play Texas Tech in any of the three major sports. Good job, Big Ten. According to Ross Dellinger, or Dellinger, I believe is how you say it, apologies, from Yahoo Sports, there are some Big 12 athletic directors who have discussed not playing Texas Tech. I guess they would just forfeit those games. I don't know how that would work, but I'm in favor of it. Georgia's athletic director has already come out and said they won't schedule Tech in any of the three big sports. Now, keyword there is schedule, because I'm assuming that if Georgia were to play Tech in the college football playoff, Georgia wouldn't forfeit that game, but they're just not going to go out of their way to play them. And this is something that is gaining traction across college sports. How can Texas Tech have a season if everyone agrees not to play them? What, are you going to go beat up on Abilene Christian, North Texas, and Sam Houston State and then call it a season? Play those 3 games? Imagine paying Brendan Sorsby $5 million, but doing all these tricks to jump through all the different hoops required for him to play. Imagine doing all of that just for everyone to be like, yeah, we're not going to play you. This is wrong. I think that'd be incredible. That would make my day. This is one of the few issues in sports where everyone is on the same page, except for Texas Tech. The Red Raiders right now are acting like the one guy at the dinner party who refuses to use a fork, and he's wondering why nobody wants to pass him the mashed potatoes. It's like, hey, man, I don't want you sticking your hand in the mashed potatoes. That's disgusting. Okay, the Red Raiders, for some reason, see nothing wrong with this. And I get it. Being good at football is a legitimately important thing for all of these universities because of how much revenue it generates. Okay, the university gets a nice big check from it. But how much does the check shrink if everyone's just like, yeah, we're not coming to Lubbock. Sorry. Have fun playing Abilene Christian in North Texas. By the way, Brendan Sorsby can't even play in those 2 games. After that, though, every power conference school should refuse to play them. Brendan Sorsby clearly violated the rules and ethics of not just college sports, but all sports. Allowing Sorsby to play because he throws a pretty deep ball is like letting a cat burglar run the security firm because he's good with locks. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. And here's the thing, though. If you allow the cat burglar to run the security firm, when one of your clients gets robbed, you're going to have a little thought in the back of your head, like, did the cat burglar have something to do with that? And when Sorsby misses an easy pass, or he makes a pivotal mistake late, or you're at the 3-yard line and Texas Tech is called a run play and he audibles out of it to a pass play, and there's going to be a part of you that wonders, did he do that on purpose? Did he put money on this game? Did he bet the over on his touchdowns? Did he bet the over on how many points we were going to score in this game? Did he bet us to lose on the money line? There's going to be a part of you constantly wondering if he did it on purpose. I would also like to remind everyone, again, that he flat out broke the law. And ethically, I don't think I have to explain why betting on your own team is bad. I'm sure I do, because there's idiots everywhere. Like, I saw these tweets where it was like, if he bet on his own team to win, then how is it bad? We just ignore those people, okay? Because he's good at football, though, Brendan Sorsby, he's currently going to get a pass, and the rest of the teams around the country need to simply just band together and not play Tech this year if he's on the field. There are so many other college athletes who bet on sports, and it costs them their careers. Like, a precedent has been set. Noah Shannon, defensive lineman from Iowa, placed one bet for $10 on a women's basketball game. He turned himself in, and the NCAA banned him for the rest of the season, and they ended his career. Brendan Sorsby had over 2,000 bets placed. He wagered $90,000 in those bets, and some corrupt judges in Texas found him eligible to play. Noah Shannon got the death penalty for jaywalking, while Brendan Sorsby is getting a police escort after robbing the bank. And just insanity. Hunter Deckers, former Iowa State quarterback, now playing in the United Football League, starting quarterback for Houston, he placed 366 bets during his time at Iowa State, where he wagered a grand total of $2,800. He had one single bet, involving Iowa State football, When the NCAA found out, he lost the rest of that season. He lost the rest of his NCAA eligibility, and he lost the rest of his career. Brendan Sorsby placed, again, over 2,000 bets. He wagered $90,000 on those bets, and he placed at least 40 bets involving Indiana football when he was on the team. And he gets a pass. He, again, has no business playing college football this year, and opposing teams should boycott Tech until they kick him off of their team. That seems that to me, I think, is the easiest solution because, look, this isn't the NCAA's fault. They tried to ban him. The problem is these judges in Texas stepping in and being like, well, NCAA, you're actually wrong here. We're gonna go ahead and give him the nod to let him play football this next year. And so with his injunction, basically his next trial date isn't until February, which someone needs to explain this to me. So he already went to court once. He went to the NCAA. They ruled him ineligible. He went to court. He lost. 21 days later, he went to court again on appeal. And this time he won. How can we have his appeal court case 21 days later, but it's going to take until February, after the college football season is over, for him to have his follow-up case to his injunction? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what happened, right?
Oh, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened, Chris.
He paid off the judges. The judges have some sort of income invested in the upcoming season for him playing, and they're going to make some money off of him. Then they're going to reevaluate the money situation at the end of the season.
I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to accuse people, but this is in line with what you said. Oh man. I saw a screenshot yesterday, and I'm very hesitant to believe what I see on the internet. Like, every judge involved in his case is a Texas Tech graduate. Like, it was the same thing that we saw in Alabama. I don't know if I'm sure you and Dan covered this, but like the pro player that played at Alabama and then left and then came back.
Right, yeah.
The judge that approved it was an Alabama grad. And look, we're complaining about how Brendan Sorsby violated the ethics of sports. Like, I think it's only right to complain about the ethics of having a Texas Tech graduate rule on this. And I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but I'm at a point where when it comes to this college football stuff, nothing really surprises me anymore. And I am fascinated to see what the other schools do about it.
There could be some wire transfers happening somewhere. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the big donor for Tech is a little crazy. I think that's the nicest way to put it. Like he was threatening people on Twitter yesterday. I mean, just going at people. I'm fascinated by it. This is part of why college football is so great. We have these soap operas that seem to happen every year, regular season, off season. And I'm just fascinated to see where this story goes. I think it'd be really funny if Brendan Sorsby got to play and he got like benched for the backup. Will Hammond takes his job in week 4.
I'm not super familiar with this play. Is he actually any good, or is it?
He was the number 1 ranked transfer in the transfer portal this last year.
Okay, so there would be reason to place some money on him or something.
Oh yes.
Okay.
So think of it like this: if Brendan Sorsby does not play for Texas Tech this year, they're still good enough to win the Big 12, their conference.
Okay.
But if Brendan Sorsby plays, they're good enough to win the national title.
Understood.
So that's why this is such a big deal, right? Because there's some truth in, the Tech fans who are like, you're going to watch anyway. It's like, that's not the point. Like, I hate that argument. That's not the point. But they do have a point when they say, if this was North Texas, people wouldn't care anywhere near as much, which is true. But at the same time, people would still have the same stance, you know? Also, if this was happening at Texas, Tech fans would be super upset about it,
Sure.
you know? And so, but that's just the way it is, right? Like when the rules get cut in your favor, people don't have a problem with it. It's when the rules get cut against you that people have an issue with it. And so, I get it, but I'm again just fascinated to see how it goes. Again, we'll have Shehan Jayarajuh coming on here at 1:40, talk about some different solutions to what should happen to Sorsby and Texas Tech going forward. And the Knicks are looking for solutions after Game 3, the NBA Finals. It's officially a series after Victor Wembanyama dismantled the Knicks in Game 3. He finally played well. Adjustments don't always have to be complicated. The Spurs made some simple tweaks to keep their 7'4" superstar out of rush hour traffic. He was able to dominate the paint on offense. They were able to run the Vic in a box defense. It was great. I'll explain some of the tweaks and adjustments in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. In 20 minutes, the one and only Zach Hicks will join the show. We'll talk Colts mandatory minicamp, some of the stuff that we're kind of watching for in terms of storylines coming out of camp. And, World Cup starts on Thursday night. Team USA plays their first game Friday night, 9 p.m. I can't wait. I've got a birthday party I have to go to that night. We'll be leaving early because I'm an American and I want to support my country. Is that a valid excuse to leave a birthday party early?
Only heard about half of that. What are you talking about? You're going to a birthday party and you're leaving halfway
I'm
through
leaving
because
early.
You're an American?
I'm leaving early because as an American, I feel like it's important for me to support the men's national team at the World Cup.
Okay. You say so.
That'll be my my reasoning, Yeah, we're doing like it's like a scavenger hunt birthday party thing. The girl putting it on, very nice, good friend. Yeah, I just can't wait to look at Amelia and be like, Amelia, as a proud American, I think we need to leave early so we can go watch Team USA play soccer.
That's the correct reason for leaving a birthday party, Jonathan. Yes. I'm going to start hanging out with you guys. You guys have a lot of fun.
Dude, we do so much. Dude, you're both, come on, dude. Show up on a Wednesday night to line dancing. You'll meet the gang.
I'll probably pass on the line dancing, but I'll do the scavenger.
If you want to meet everybody and you want to get invited to stuff, come through, man. Dude, you don't even have to dance. Like you can just hang out on the side.
Is the line dancing like an initiation to your group?
I don't know if it's an initiation. I won't be there on Wednesday, but because we got game 4, but everyone else will be.
Okay.
And dude, seriously, like you legitimately, you should come sometime.
I'm in there.
I'll introduce you to everybody.
Okay.
It'll be great.
And then you can bring them out to karaoke too.
Oh yeah, dude, they would go.
All right.
My friends are they'll do anything.
Let's do it.
Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show, by the way. We talk about more than karaoke and line dancing on here, I promise. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 a.m. The NBA Finals is now a series as the Spurs went into New York last night and won Game 3. Wasn't surprising at all. The Knicks were simply not going to win 15 straight playoff games, which is what they would have done if they had swept the Spurs. That's just a nearly impossible feat to accomplish. It's the equivalent of flipping a coin 15 times in a row and calling it right every time. At some point, the ball just doesn't bounce your way. They were bound to lose at some point, and the Spurs had great chances to win the first 2 games at home. We saw them win not 1, but 2 road games in the Western Conference Finals. MSG, great place, great crowd. With that being said, Oklahoma City, much tougher place to go in and win. Okay. Oh, and by the way, the Spurs had the best player in the series, and last night, he finally played like it. Victor Wembanyama was awesome last night, and it starts with where he catches the basketball and where he takes his shots from. He took 7 shots. Yeah, that was close. That was close. He took 7 shots from inside the restricted area. That's a great sign for San Antonio. That means he's getting paint touches. You hear NBA teams talk all the time about the importance of spacing, and it is important. But spacing doesn't mean jack squat without anyone getting to the rim, without creating rim pressure to collapse the defense. Okay? Spacing without rim pressure is pointless because then you're just aimlessly passing the ball on the perimeter. You have to have someone who can penetrate through the defense to create, problems, because if someone gets to the rim, everyone collapses, and then the spacing comes into effect. And Wemby created that for San Antonio last night. Also, when you get layups and dunks early, it creates a rhythm for the player a lot of the time as well. It's like a golfer sinking a few short putts. All of a sudden, the cup looks twice as wide. All of a sudden, you're knocking in 20-footers. I don't know about that, but you get it. Wemby was 2 of 4 from 3, 8 of 9 from the foul line, and that rhythm starts with those layups and dunks that he got early. That's big for San Antonio because they don't have a ton of shooting. They did a much better job of getting Wemby the basketball in good spots around the rim. That not only led to dunks, but it also led to 9 foul shots for Wemby. He was spectacular on offense. 11 of 18 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3, 32 points, 6 assists, only 1 turnover. It's a masterpiece. Call it a Picasso game, I guess. I don't know. That's almost a perfect game from Wemby. The turnovers being down is the biggest thing for him. He had 6 turnovers in game 1. He had 4 turnovers in game 2. Almost all of them came the exact same way. They came off drives to the rim. There's just too much traffic whenever he drives to the basket because the Spurs don't have a ton of shooting around him. Okay, him driving to the rim is the equivalent of a 7'4" guy trying to navigate rush hour traffic on a unicycle. It's just bound to go bad. The Knicks would swipe at the ball as he was dribbling, or he'd make an errant pass. He didn't drive the ball very much at all last night. So the Knicks couldn't bring extra defenders to make his job harder. And when he got the ball at the rim, it was primarily off him rolling. And once he catches it deep, like, he's going to score. Like, if he gets the ball in the restricted area, one of a couple of things is going to happen. 1, he's going to dunk it. 2, he's going to lay it in. 3, he's going to get fouled. Okay? Like, that's just the reality of it. So the plan from the Spurs was better. They got him established early. He took 4 shots in the first half of game 2. I think he got 4 dunks/layups in the first half last night. Okay, he is better when he's aggressive early, and he definitely was that last night, and it paid off for San Antonio. The other important thing for the Spurs was they had players come along for the ride. Stephon Castle had a great first half. He finished the game with 23 points. He hit the biggest shot of the game. We'll get to that in a minute. A theme in a lot of these Spurs losses have been the non-Wemby players not showing up. Last night, in addition to Castle's 23, they had 4 other players in double figures. Every Spurs starter got into double figures. Dylan Harper had 13 points off the bench. The supporting cast did more than their job last night for San Antonio. As a team, they didn't turn the ball over. Only 8 turnovers in the game. For reference, the Knicks had 7 turnovers in the first half. Okay, they did a great job of finding Wemby around the rim and not turning the ball over. Okay, but here's the biggest thing from the Spurs supporting cast that happened last night. They closed the game. Because Victor Wembanyama's offense is so predicated on other guys getting the ball, he can't always close games because of how the Knicks guard him. Because when he puts it on the floor, there's just a swarm of guys, and he's probably going to turn it over. But guess what? The Knicks, or the Spurs, planned for this. This is why you trade for De'Aaron Fox, a guy who won Clutch Player of the Year a couple of years ago in Sacramento because of his ability to get buckets late in games. That's why you have other guards on the floor like Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper who can get their own shot a little bit easier than Wemby can. And those guys did that last night. Stephon Castle hit the biggest shot of the game. The Knicks were making a push. They were coming back in the final minutes again. And Steph Castle hits a bailout late shot clock 3 with 1 minute and 53 seconds left to push the lead from 4 to 7. In games 1 and 2, they weren't making that shot. Later on, he makes 2 big foul shots to push the lead from 2 to 4. With 12 seconds left, and the Spurs up by 3, De'Aaron Fox finally hit a pull-up mid-range jumper in this series. That all but ended the game because it put the Spurs up by 5 with 12 seconds to go. Victor Wembanyama didn't score in the final 4 minutes and 50 seconds of Game 3 last night. It was the other Spurs players that held on to the lead late, and they need more of that from them going forward since Wemby's offensive game isn't polished quite yet. Right? Obviously, he's going to impact the game because of his size, and he's going to score around the rim, and he's going to hit a couple of threes. But as far as give Wemby the ball and get out of the way, he's just not there quite yet. For the Knicks, last night felt like a missed opportunity. Jalen Brunson played his best game of the series, 32 points on 11 of 25 shooting. The issue is he turned the ball over 5 times, and the Knicks as a team turned it over 13 times. And a lot of the turnovers were just horrific. The Knicks looks like a dance troupe where half of the performers were doing the waltz and the other half was breakdancing. Players just weren't on the same page. They'd kick it out, and the player would cut. The ball would fly out of bounds. They would throw the ball to the corner. Nobody would be there. They were careless with the basketball, and it's part of why they lost the game. They also wasted a couple of great performances. OG Anunoby was incredible last night. He's why they stayed in the game in the first half. He hit a couple of big threes late to continuously put pressure on San Antonio. He had 28 points on 9 of 13 shooting. Josh Hart had 16 points, and he was 4 of 7 from 3. You're probably not getting that from Josh Hart again in this series. Jordan Clarkson had 10 points in 13 minutes off the bench. I don't know if you're getting that again, as much as I like Jordan Clarkson. Those are performances that will likely not be repeated. The issue is they had 3 players who have been reliable who didn't play great last night. Karl Anthony Towns, he's going to catch a lot of flack. I thought he was good. I just didn't think he was aggressive enough. In the first 2 games, you constantly felt his presence, whether it was rebounding, attacking Wemby on the perimeter, posting up guards. There were long stretches last night where I forgot he was even on the floor. It's like, oh, yeah, there's Karl. Forgot he was out there. He had done a great job of attacking smaller defenders in the first 2 games. He didn't do that at all last night. He only took 10 shots. He has to shoot more than that when the Spurs are guarding him with smalls like they did last night. 11 points from him just isn't enough. I know he was +6 in his minutes, but he could have been better. Mikal Bridges battled foul trouble a little bit, but that's not an excuse. He still played 29 minutes and only scored 2 points. He has to take more than 5 shots. I know he was +11, but he has to be more of a threat to score the basketball when he's on the floor. Landry Shamet finally had a bad shooting night. 1 of 8 from the floor, 1 of 7 from 3. And somewhat of his defense, he took some tough shots. Like there was one where he grabbed an offensive rebound, sprinted out to the 3-point line, and then did a jump turn stop and then put up a 3. And he did that, and you're like, bro, you're not Steph. What are you doing? You're not Steph Curry. Maybe don't take that shot. But he's got to shoot the ball better to expose that Vic in a box defense that the Spurs like to run. Okay? Selfishly, I'm glad that San Antonio won last night because we've got a series now. And the series is going to come down to the same thing we've seen in the first 3 games. The game is going to be close late. All 3 games have been close in the final 2 minutes. And in the first 2 games, the Spurs didn't make shots to close the Knicks out. Game 3, they did. If the Spurs make shots late, they're going to win. That was the difference last night. Fox and Castle got some big buckets late, and they kept the Knicks at arm's length. The Knicks have played outstanding offense down the stretch in these first 3 games. We've seen it time and time again over the past couple of years. This is just a team that doesn't blink late in games, and they just have a knack, especially Jalen Brunson, of hitting tough shots late in games. OG Anunoby hit a ridiculous corner 3 last night with, I think it was Dylan Harper draped all over him. And so they're going to have the offense to close games late. The question is if the Spurs guards can keep finding Wemby in good spots for him to score so he's not having to put the ball on the deck 7 times, and if they can make shots late. If they can do those 2 things, then the Spurs are going to have an excellent chance to come back and win the series. I can't wait for Game 4 tomorrow night. Line dancing, always going to be there for me. Chris, I'll see you at line dancing at some point.
I'll get in there.
Let's go.
One time at least.
It'll be great. And it's going to be another great game in what's lining up to be what I think potentially an all-time series. I can't think of another series where a team goes down 2-0 and then wins the next 2 games on the road to make it 2-2 going back to their place for Game 5. Obviously, we've had teams go up 2-0 and then lose the series before. The 2011 Dallas Mavericks being the first team that comes to mind. Okay, the Bucks did it against the Suns in 2021, if I remember correctly. So we've had series similar to this before, but this just feels so special because it's Wemby, it's New York, and I can't wait for the rest of the series. Still riding high with my Knicks in 6 pick. Probably going to take the Knicks in Game 4. We'll see. I'll think it over the night tonight, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great time. Also, very excited for 1 o'clock. Zach Hicks joins the show from Locked On Colts. He does a great job covering them. Really smart guy as well. I promise you want to hear what he has to say, and he joins the show coming up at 1 o'clock. But first, we throw it over to producer Chris with your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here are a few stories trending this hour. Of course, mandatory minicamp started today for the Colts. Backups Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard are both splitting first-team reps to see who will be the primary backup to Daniel Jones.
Inbound to Clark. Caitlin Clark, iconic.
Pat Boylan on the call with a Caitlin Clark hitting a game-winning 3 to help the Fever beat the Washington Mystics 78-76 last night. They'll host the Chicago Sky at Gainbridge Fieldhouse Thursday night at 7, and that'll also be on Prime. The Knicks fell to the Spurs in Game 3 of the NBA Finals last night, 115-111. New York still leads the series 2-1, and Game 4 will be tomorrow night, 8:30 on ABC. Finally, the Stanley Cup Finals continue tonight in Vegas. Golden Knights have a 2-1 series lead over the Hurricanes. The Cup puck drops at 8 tonight on ABC. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show after the break on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. The one and only, very good friend of the show, excellent at what he does when it comes to covering the Colts, Zach Hicks, joins the program. We had his counterpart, Jake Arthur, on yesterday to get you ready for Colts mandatory minicamp. Zach, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. We're about to get more football coming up here soon. I mean, I know it's just mandatory minicamp, but it's the phases we come in, right? Mandatory minicamp, then we get over to training camp, then we get some preseason games, and then before we know it, it's the regular season. So pumped to get back into football, and kind of this break is, we're getting into football again. Like, we're getting away from this dead season of no football right now.
Yeah, and everybody's going to be there, which is nice. Like, Jonathan Taylor's going to be there, DeForest Buckner. I know Alec Pierce I don't think Alec Pierce is practicing quite yet, which I don't mind, and that's really where I want to start. To start the show, I compared receivers to cars, where it's like, I don't need to drive a car to know if it's going to win a street race or not. Like, if you give me the option between a minivan and a Corvette, I can just look and know immediately. And I think receivers are like that, where I don't need to see them in pads. Like, if Nick Westbrook-Akine can create separation from Sauce Gardner, whether they're in pads or not, like, I can see that that's probably going to work. And to me, that's really the only position battle that we're going to be able to get any sort of a read on before they get into pads. Is that kind of how you feel about it? And what are you kind of looking for in that battle over?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is just what the rotation looks like, and if there's any movement within that rotation within the first couple days of this, because, we don't get like a full week of practice. We don't get like 20 days of practice here. It's like the 3 days that we're talking about this upcoming week. And I'm curious to see if we get any kind of movement there is the real question. Because, like, obviously it counts a lot for how they start off, but you expect a team to kind of lean towards the veterans a little bit early on to say, hey, we're going to get the Doolins and the Westbrook-Akines. We're going to get those guys more involved early. But if a player like Deion Burks is just showing out at the bottom of the roster and they feel like they need to get him more reps at the top of the roster, or at least with the second team, right? Because that's, second team, you're one injury away, so getting him a little bit more involved. That's more so what I'm curious of. But like you said, like, it's hard to fully evaluate anything at this time period because they've made so many changes over the years to how much you can practice, what the full pads are, like contact that you can have in these types of practices in the off season. But, with wide receiver and corner, like, there is a little bit more of that translatable skill, more so than like O-line versus D-line, right? Like, these guys aren't full on blocking or anything. So yeah, I want to see how these guys move. I want to see how much they're able to get in with like the first team and stuff. I know a lot of things are kind of weird right now because there's no Pierce and there's no Daniel Jones. Like, fully Daniel Jones will be out there with like some 7-on-7 stuff. But so it's not like the real first team offense currently, but just see how many of those guys can really get in the mix with other players that we think are going to be starters. Like, how much do we see Deion Burks on the field with a Josh Downs, right, at the same time? I think that'll be valuable information for us, or at least a sense of how much the coaches actually think of those players. So, we can learn a little bit more from receivers than maybe other position groups. But overall, the biggest thing I look for is just like, who is running with who, right? If all 3 days we see, these guys catching passes from Easton Stick, then okay, they're probably not high up in the minds of anybody. But if we start seeing them get up there with Leonard and Richardson, then okay, maybe we could see a bit of a role for them. And obviously that can change in training camp, but I still like it as like a measuring stick early on in the offseason program.
Okay, just so you know, this is a pro Easton Stick show. There's always a section of every fan base that's like, what if we gave the fourth string quarterback a chance? And we are leading that charge here on the show. We love Easton, going back to his time at North Dakota State. Joined by Zach Hicks of Locked On Colts, just getting you ready for mandatory minicamp starting today. The other thing going on is obviously like the backup quarterback stuff. And look, man, if I had a wish list of like a genie showed up and was like, Jonathan, any 3 things can happen that you want during mandatory minicamp, my first thing would be like no injuries, of course. My second thing would be I want for all of the Colts media people there to ask Shane Steichen to compare Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard every day. Because I just think his response to the two is so funny. Like, it's to a point where I'm like, it's not a competition. Like, it's so clearly Riley Leonard's job because Shane Steichen so clearly prefers him. That's how I feel about it. I know that they're splitting reps, but part of me wonders, like, is this just like a trade thing? Like, what do you kind of make of that battle?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with you on that. Like, this is not anything about me talking about the skill of the two players or who should be the backup or anything, because I know that's a hot debate among the fan base right now. But I just ultimately think where Shane Steichen wants to go with this is Riley Leonard as that backup quarterback. And like you said, anytime that a beat reporter, and credit to the beat reporters who have asked these questions back to back in recent weeks, we've seen a little bit more of those where it's like, here's a question about Leonard, here's a question about Richardson, and let's see how he answers both of the same question. And it's been really enlightening to see, like, oh yeah, with Leonard, he's doing great things. He's so great, hard work and all that. And then with Richardson, it's like, oh, he's got some stuff to develop, stuff to work on. He's still young. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And it's like, come on, like, come on, Shane, you got to play it up a little bit.
I love the clip where they're like, what do you like about Riley Leonard? He's like, like, I like he's really working on his processing, and like he clearly sees the field better this year. And it's like the only insightful 20 seconds and the entire 5 minutes that he talks to the media. And then I forget who it was. It's like, same question, but for Anthony Richardson. He's like, just glad he's back out there with the guys.
Right.
Like,
It's very different. Yeah. It's very different. So I understand why they are trying to get Richardson more reps, because honestly, a big part of the whole trade thing is like, you have to showcase him to other teams, right? Like, the last that any team knows about him right now is he had vision issues up until the beginning of the offseason, right? Because you guys kept saying that to everybody. So I don't know why these teams would want to trade for him. Like, the last time we saw him in a full capacity, he was a 45% passer, a 48% passer who got benched for Joe Flacco and then had another injury that ended a year, and then he's got vision issues now. So I understand why teams are like nervous about trading for him. So you have to showcase him a little bit here, but you don't. Honestly, to me, I still don't like it though. Like, if you really do think Leonard should be your backup, I don't even like splitting these reps, right? Like, just get them all to Leonard. Like, if you think that he's going to be in your plans, you can still showcase Richard. Like, if Richardson is your backup to Leonard in these preseason games, he's going to get more play in the preseason games. Like, it might be with like Coleman Owen and guys like that, but he's going to get like 2.5 quarters, where Leonard's going to get like a quarter and you'll call it a day for him. So I don't think you need to do like this whole like farce. If what we think is a farce is like this backup battle, I don't think you need to do all this, but optics are everything, I guess, in sports and in media.
Yeah. It's like, what are you telling everybody if you're picking your 6th round pick over your former 4th overall pick? Like, nothing good. But at the same time, they traded him, like, they're not getting much for him anyway. So I don't think it matters that much. Again, joined by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts. You can check out his YouTube channel as well. Does a great job covering the Colts. Does a great job breaking down prospects and things. And part of why I wanted to have you on, Justin Wally making the switch from outside corner to inside corner. One of my best friends played corner at Valpo, and I was texting with him. I was like, what's the difference here, man? Because like, and his main thing was the type of receivers that you're guarding are different. They're smaller, a little more laterally quick. You can play with leverage, but it's easier for the slot receivers to run away from leverage. And the types of routes that you're defending are just different. Everything that we saw from Wally last year, the coaching staff saying that they like him is like an understatement. They clearly love him, but he's playing a slightly different position this year. Just from what you saw with him during his time at Iowa State, if I remember correctly, is this a guy who can make the switch to inside corner easily? What do you kind of think of him on the inside?
Yeah, so real quick, he was at Minnesota, I believe, is where he was at in college.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Minnesota. Iowa State was Jalen Travis. So you had the right, just back-to-back draft picks there. But yeah, no, I mean, to kind of reiterate what your buddy was saying there, like, yeah, you face a lot of different routes on the inside. You face two-way goes a lot more often, which, when you're on the outside, you have the sideline to protect you to one side, right? So you're more likely to shade a little bit to the inside, because if they're going to beat you to the sideline, you're already pinching that way. There's not that much space to work out there. When you're playing in the slot, there's space everywhere, right? you have to be a grade 1 athlete to play slot corner. And you have to be a physical player too, a guy that's not afraid to mix it up and get there in the run game too, because you're going to be asked to defend more in the run game, kind of like a strong safety sometimes, right? Because both you guys will be in the box in middle of the field closed situations. And I think when you look at Wally, it's certainly a projection because he played a lot more on the outside, but coming from the Big Ten, which is a conference that runs the ball a good bit, right? So you're kind of used to that physicality of it. I mean, he was going toe to toe with guys like Keon Coleman, and I know Keon Coleman's not anything in the NFL right now, but like at college, he was like a big physical receiver. That was a big name. He got experience when he was like, 19 going against Keon Coleman, who was like 19, 20 as well. And got that experience and was like really fighting with him. He was going against those Ohio State receivers all the time and showcasing his fight with those guys too. So I think you see the tenacity. I think you see the movement skills on film as well. I think a lot of things do project to him being able to play on the inside. It's just a projection right now. And some guys aren't really great at it. Sometimes you get them in there and it's like, okay, maybe he's more of an outside guy. So we'll just have to see on how it goes. It's kind of jarring for the Colts where, like, if it doesn't work out with him, where do you go with it, right? There's not really any other option. Yeah. Like, there's not really another option on the roster. So, I think they almost need him to be ready for it, but he's still young. They absolutely love him. They praise his mindset, and his movement skills have always been really good. So I think he can do it. It's just seeing what it looks like, when the bullets are flying and it's really there. On like in like live action here. So I'm excited to see what he looks like in there. But from everything I saw from it, like I went to the Ravens joint practice last year, and there were some coverage reps that he had out there that were just phenomenal, whether it was one-on-one, whether it was the team stuff. I mean, the play that he got hurt on in training camp last year was an out and up from Rashad Bateman that he mirrored perfectly. And when Bateman went up to get it, he punched his hands through and knocked the ball away. And I was like, this is the play of the day, and then he limped off the field, and that was the last we saw of him all off season. So that was kind of the definition of the Colts season last year. It was just the injuries and stuff. But I think there's a lot of things there that project well for him to playing in the slot. It's still a projection, so we need to see what it can ultimately be. But I like the idea of it, and I hope it works out for the Colts.
Yeah, me too. The secondary, the health is so important because, like you said, like after this first line of guys, like I know Jake was telling us that Jalen Jones had a pretty good OTAs. Jonathan Edwards played really well on the outside as well, but it still just feels like slim pickings. It feels almost like Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers, where like when Tyrese Halliburton's out there, playoff team, finals team, but then like as soon as he leaves the floor, it's like, oh man, things just kind of fall apart. And that's kind of how I view the secondary this year, where like if they can stay healthy, then like I think the Colts, because when your secondary is good, it just makes everything else easier. Where like maybe the Colts sneak in as like a 7 seed or something if things go perfectly. So hopefully they can just stay healthy this year. I just want to see the combination of Javarius Ward and Sauce Gardner. Like that and Tyler Warren are the two things that I'm excited about. What does having two great corners, like probably a top 5 corner duo in the NFL, like what does that do for a defense?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes you more versatile. It leaves you the ability to put guys on an island and feel more comfortable doing so. Like last year, the Colts wanted to run a lot of man coverage, and they still did, even with the corners they did have out there. But it was very hit or miss with guys like Edwards and Mekhi Blackman and Jalen Jones out there, who were just not of the caliber of a Mooney Ward or a Sauce Gardner. And the little bits we saw, I mean, I know that they gave up a big yardage total against the Kansas City Chiefs, but that's because they were on the field defensively for like 90 minutes. I mean, they almost played like 100 snaps on defense in that game, and it really didn't break through until that fourth quarter, and it kind of the floodgates opened. But for most of that game, they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs very well. They were holding them out of the end zone in the red zone because their corners could just allow them to play more man coverage. They gave up some yards here and there, but a lot of that was just Mahomes scrambles. Like I thought they played fairly well in that game with those two players there. So I think you see the glimpses of what this defense can be. And I know a lot of people look at like the overall numbers of the Colts defense last year, but there were some really good moments, like I think the Rams game, again, another game they gave like 350 passing yards, but I thought it was a really strong game against the Rams on defense in that one. Big reason why they stayed in that game. I mean, almost of those 350 yards, 80 of them came on a guy falling down. If the guy doesn't fall down, they held the Rams to like 3 of 14 on third down and held Stafford kind of in check for a lot of that game. So I think that, if you have this defensive secondary healthy, and you have what Lou Anarumo was able to have like in those good moments last year, I think they can be like a top 15 defense, I don't want to say top 10 because the defensive end group is still such a question mark for this team, but it does go a long way to have your secondary as good as, because it just gives you more of that flexibility to, you feel more comfortable blitzing. You feel more comfortable going to man coverage situations. You feel more comfortable in a lot of situations and rolling coverages to certain players and allowing your middle of the field guys be more aggressive because they don't have to worry about the outside because you have those two guys out there. So it's a huge if, because Mooney Ward missed most of last season. And he didn't look like the same guy down the stretch last year as he did early in the season. Sauce Gardner missed a lot of last season when he came to the Colts. I feel better about him bouncing back. And then, Wally's never even played in the NFL yet at this point. So it is a huge if, but it is an if where, like, if it does work out for them, if they just get some luck to go their way, it could be a very good strength for them this year and could propel them into the playoffs.
I hope it does. Joined again by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts. Which would you be more surprised? I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. What would be more surprising? The Colts making the playoffs or the Brendan Sorsby ruling?
I would say the Colts making playoffs would be more surprising just because
the Sorsby ruling's already happened.
Well, it's just because it was like, look, I'm not saying I expected it because like this was the most egregious case of a reinstatement, but it is such a just mess at the college level right now. Like they have just no enforcement of rules. There's just no consistency. And I'm glad we're getting to this because I had opinions on social media about this. Yeah, that's probably why you brought me on to talk about it.
It's part of it.
But here's my like with Sorsby, like I'm as pro player as it gets, man. Like down with the NCAA. Like I'm tired of like all the like. I'm glad these guys are getting paid, right? I'm sure there should be more like restrictions and some ways, better ways to do this. But I'm glad these guys are getting paid. I'm as pro player as it gets. But we're not talking about like what are we doing here? This is the guy who's betting on his own teams. Right? Like that's the biggest. There are baseball players who are banned forever for betting on their own teams to win and like whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think it's such a big thing that you can't be doing. Like,
it's such an obvious thing.
It's the integrity of the game situation, right? Like it's such an easy thing to play. And the argument that was brought up in I haven't read the whole thing. I don't speak as much legalese as I wish I did, but apparently the big argument was like it could be detrimental to his mental health if he because it's like a gambling addiction is the way they're going about it. And I'm like,
mental health disorder is what
and it's like it's I don't know, the way I kind of read it was like they're treating it like a workplace like FMLA type thing, like you're not accommodating his disability. And I'm like, if you're it's like if in a workplace your disability led to you like stealing money from the business, like it doesn't matter if it's your disability, they're gonna fire you still, like because you're committing that big of a faux pas here, right? So it's like I don't know. Like I'm all for accommodating guys with disabilities, and I'm sure he does have a lot of mental health issues with all this, right? If you're putting that many bets on Indiana before Cignetti got there, clearly there's something wrong at this point, right?
Quote, to feel more connected to the team is a crazy statement that he made as to why he did it.
Yeah, like it's insane. It's truly insane. But there has to be a line, right? There has to be an integrity of the game here, especially with the rise of all this gambling stuff right now, right? Like where it's just infiltrated everything. We got major business dealings with like every sports center and all that stuff and protecting that money. But like, oh man, it is a weird line. And I just think sets a really bad precedent going forward, right? Like, look, when Isaiah Rodgers got suspended from the Colts, it sucked for the Colts, but like, yeah, should have been suspended for a year. He got suspended for the year, and the Colts cut him. And look, we can all sit here and be like, man, like, wish Isaiah Rodgers was still on the team, but like, that was his own doing why he wasn't on the team, and it made sense. I just think there should be punishments if you're like, this is like the biggest faux pas you can commit internally with the business. Obviously, if you get to off-field stuff, we can all have our moral arguments with that stuff too. But like in terms of what you can do internally with your job, betting on the results of the thing that you have impact on is insane. And letting that go, a 2-game suspension, and then he has to go to some counseling stuff. That's insane to me. So
it is.
I like the other ADs coming out and taking a stand against Texas Tech, but it just all comes down to still just the NCAA's mess of a situation they've made with all this stuff. And this is just the latest chapter in it. And I think it's the most dangerous chapter they're setting.
It is. And like, it's not the NCAA's fault. They banned him. Again, joined by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts talking about the Brendan Sorsby stuff. The problem is, like, they don't have any power in the courts. And so everyone is just, like, we saw this with Alabama during basketball season, where there's a guy who played for Alabama, goes to the G League, and is like, I'm not really playing. Let me go back to Alabama. And then a judge that graduated from Alabama was like, yeah, let's do it, you know? And so that's the problem. Like, I compare the NCAA basically to like a mall cop earlier. It's like they don't have any power. Like, you know, they don't even carry guns. You know, it's like, what are you going to do if someone's getting robbed? Nothing.
Yeah.
You get on your little Segway thing, and that's pretty much it.
Right. But it's because of their own doing, though. It's because they have no regulations in place on anything. Yeah. So then when judges get this, they have so many outs to where they can let these guys play again, right? And let the money keep flowing where it's going. I'm not saying judges are getting paid or anything, but like I'm saying, like, they can just let the money train keep rolling because, like, there's no restrictions in place. There's nothing that like that's in anything right now. Like, it's just complete Wild West. And that's where I do agree with some of this stuff where it's like, it's just a complete disaster with how they're running this stuff. So yeah, I think that, again, this is just the latest chapter and so many messes that they have made for themselves, where everything has to be decided in the court, and they lose every single court case because they just have nothing. They don't have anything in writing or whatever. So it's a disaster. And it's just going to get worse at this point. Like, gambling addictions aren't going to go away. They're going up, man, across the country. We're going to see more and more players involved with stuff like this. Maybe not as high profile as Sorsby, but like, there's going to be a ton of guys involved in stuff like this because it's just an endemic that's running through the whole country. And we're going to see more situations that are going to use this as precedent and get guys back on the field despite them betting on the team they were just playing for. It's crazy. But yeah, I was shocked by the ruling, but also not shocked at the same time, you know, because it's where it's been going.
Yeah, it's college football. Nothing can really surprise you anymore. There's two more things on this that I want to hit on. One, just I've read a lot on it, just trying to be informed on everything. He like illegally gambled.
Yeah,
he didn't even do it legally, and the courts are like, who cares? You know, you just broke the law. But hey, you're good at football, so let's keep you out there. That part to me is crazy. The other thing that I do think is interesting. The college football playoff is the only college championship format not directly governed by the NCAA. So the college football playoff and the committee and everything is run through like the CFP LLC or something like that. And so they're an entirely separate entity. So if they wanted to, and I hope that they do this, they could come out and be like, Texas Tech, you can't play in the college football playoff this year. But the interesting about it is that is run by 11 different people on a board. The Texas Tech president is on the board, but you only need majority to put a rule like that in place. And so I'm hoping something like that happens, but it's like, this is part of why we love college football. Stuff like this happens all the time. This is the Kardashians for men. That's what
I'm about to say. It's like, you ever hear girls talking about like Bravo channel or whatever? I always hear people bringing that up. And I'm hearing these names I've never heard before. I've heard the name Tom Sandoval so many times. I have no clue who that is or what that has to do with anything, but I've just heard it in conversations with people. This is ours, you know, this is ours. Although there's a lot more, I guess, legal stuff involved with ours, but totally agree. Like, this is our Bravo channel. This is our Kardashians. This is our Jersey Shore. Is just what, and that's, again, it's on college football for making it this, right? It once a respectable league, and now you're the Kardashians of sports, and that's totally what they deserve at this point. It sucks that's our developmental league for the NFL, but I digress. It's just a disaster.
It is. Last question for you, and I'll let you go. I'm throwing you a bit of a curveball here.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you're going to watch the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Team USA plays their first match Friday night at 9:00. My wife and I have committed to someone's birthday party on Friday night. Is it a fair excuse for me to say, hey, I need to be a good American. I need to leave early to go watch the U.S. men's national team play soccer? Is that a fair excuse to leave early?
This is a birthday party, you said, at 9:00?
I think it starts at 7, but like, we'll be out late.
PM?
Yeah. It's a Friday
night.
night.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm too old for this conversation. You said 9 o'clock p.m. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep at 9 o'clock. But no, like here's the thing. I think if this was like a productive Team USA thing, like if this was like, a perennial winner, then yeah, you'd have to be there to
Yeah.
watch. But like,
I don't know.
what do we
I
what are we
think they're gonna
waiting?
be pretty good this year. Like, they're not
I
gonna win the World Cup,
I
but
did
this
watch their game against Germany the other day. I thought it was, I mean, I mean, they lost, but it was
yeah,
like, they showed some good fight in that. Um, yeah, I mean, maybe if you can use that excuse, right? If you can use the excuse like this might be the best chance I ever get watching
there you go. I
watching
love
this team.
soccer. It's like
Yeah,
it's the least American thing about me.
yeah.
How much I love soccer.
I
So
do love the World Cup stuff, and I do love watching the countries compete. I'm very into it with that stuff. I remember watching the Olympics, I think years and years ago, and like watching like Belgium and like France and all that, like
yeah.
super fun teams to watch. So I do get involved a little bit with this, and I am more optimistic about USA this time than I ever have been. But is it that optimistic? Like, do I think they're winning it all? Probably
I gotta go
not.
watch
But
them play Paraguay. Sorry.
right. Right, like, I'm hoping that it's better than normal, but, one day one day we'll get the LeBron level athletes into soccer, and then we'll start dominating, but
That's
that's
exactly
the
right.
real goal right there.
That's right. That's right. Zach, thank you for your time as always, man. Looking forward to all the Colts stuff that you guys have coming out. I know you guys are doing three shows a week,
Yep.
a couple of squad shows as well. We'll be on the lookout for those. Anything coming out on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing some more deep dives into Shane Steichen stuff. I have a video releasing today about how they use max protection play action to get Alec Pierce isolated and nerd stuff like that. But it's always fun to talk about, the ways they use the number one wide receiver. So if you're into like the finer details of football, check out the YouTube channel. Just Zach Hicks on YouTube, the film nerd of Colts media there. And yeah, you can check out some fun stuff like that.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it. That is Zach Hicks. Check him out on X at Zach Hicks2. You can check out his YouTube page as well and Locked On Colts. The World Cup is fascinating because of all the merging of cultures. And I have found something that I think is worth following for every American as the World Cup happens. I'll tell you what that is in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The World Cup is one of the more interesting sporting events because you have this great merging of cultures. Like you've got people that have never been to America from all over the world that are here right now, and they're experiencing, why we're the best country in the world. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. You're on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. And, as I peruse good old X, I run across these different people, not from the States, experiencing American things for the first time, like Chili's. People are like, this is amazing. We need this in Europe. Or ranch. Ranch is like crack. So, Chris, what are some of these things only exclusive to America that you think would make people want to stay here?
Going line dancing with Jonathan Smith. And doing karaoke with me. Absolutely. Top two things right there.
That's an excellent answer.
Draft picks 1 and 2.
Answer. Yeah. Line dancing and karaoke. I think a lot of it's going to be food related because our food's pretty awesome.
Fair enough. I was just going to go that route. I don't know if they have Wendy's over there, but if they got a Frosty and some spicy chicken nuggets, you dip your chicken nugget into the Frosty, bam. America.
Well, bam, America. What about a lot of those European countries are smaller. And so there's one guy from Germany, he landed in Atlanta and he's driving to Houston. And because those European countries tend to be a little bit smaller, there's only one land biome there. Whereas Georgia is completely different than Houston. Houston's the desert. Georgia's a forest, right? My wife knows exactly what kind of forest it is. I don't remember. She told me last night and I forget. And so I think that part of it's interesting. Driving 11 hours, probably not going to make you want to stay here.
Probably not.
But that's not a thing over there. Waffle House. That's a thing that'll make them want to stay.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Absolutely. I saw a guy last night. He was had our first meal at Waffle House. And they're like, the staff was great. The food was so good. And the top comment was, so sorry that you didn't get to see a fight.
Yeah. Either there or Walmart in the shampoo aisle or something. I don't know, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Do they have Walmarts overseas? I've never been over.
They probably have some sort of equivalent of Walmart overseas, but
do they have grocery stores in Europe?
Oh, I hope
that
so.
Question's yes.
Yeah.
What a stupid question on my part. My bad. But it's just a fascinating thing because, I absolutely love America. I think you do as well. And again, I think this is one of the cool things about the World Cup, getting to share cultures. I'm going to tell you who the 10 best players in the World Cup are coming up at 2:00 for Top 10 Tuesday. But in about 3 minutes or so, we've got Shehan Jayarajuh from CBS Sports. He covers the Big 12. He lives in Dallas. He is right in the heart of a lot of this Brendan Sorsby drama. He's going to have a little more information on it as well. He is set to join the show coming up in 3 minutes.
pivots in today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Shehan Jayarajuh should be joining us here momentarily on the real Jonathan Smith Show as we can continue to talk about this Brendan Sorsby story, a guy who bet on his own team when he was here at Indiana, is being allowed to play college football despite placing over 2,000 bets, wagering over $90,000. And, hey, it pays to be good at football, man. If you're good at football, you can speed through Georgia with pretty much no consequences. If you're Ruben Bain at Miami, you can be involved in a murder and still get drafted 15th overall, and people just kind of forget about it. And if you're Brendan Sorsby, then you can just, lose all these bets, bet on your own team, and still get an opportunity to play college football. And we're going to have, again, Shehan Jayarajuh, CBS Sports, joining us here momentarily to talk about the news of Brendan Sorsby being allowed to play. And, I am very intrigued by just really this whole thing, man, because there's just absolutely no way that he should be allowed to play. I mean, that's the biggest thing. By the way, Shehan had a article go up about 5 minutes ago on, there he is. The man who just does everything, Shehan Jayarajuh, published an article 16 minutes ago over on CBSSports.com about Brendan Sorsby being deemed eligible to play this year. Shehan, I'm sure you're really busy. Thanks for making time. How has your life been after this news broke?
Yeah, pretty crazy. I guess being the nation's leading Texas Tech expert makes you pretty busy these days.
Absolutely. When the ruling came through, I was surprised but not shocked because it's college football and anything just kind of goes now. What was your reaction when you heard the ruling?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that you can't be shocked by anything these days in college athletics, but I was pretty close to shocked. I thought that, just to be frank, for one, this is one of the most black and white rules, not just in college sports, but in sports in general, right? You do not gamble and you do not gamble on your own games. This is, people kind of make the equivalence of other sorts of personal indiscretions or whatever. This is about the integrity of the sport itself, right? So that's one piece of it. And then on top of that, I just personally didn't feel like the legal case that was made was all that compelling. It sort of said if you didn't want him to gamble, then you shouldn't have accepted gambling money. I mean, look, there's lots of opportunities where sports take money from entities that they might not want their players to be involved in, right? I mean, obviously alcohol being the obvious one. So I really thought that it was going to go the other direction. I thought that also the courts would understand the kind of scrutiny that would come on them if this was granted, which, I mean, to be frank, I think it's been even greater than I expected, the backlash at this point. So again, I mean, you can never count anything out. The thing that I told everybody, right, is that you never know what one judge is going to do or say, but still, this, I think, feels like a moment that we're going to remember for a long time.
I completely agree. And the interesting thing about this is the precedent that had already been set of if you do this, even if you don't gamble on your own team, you're done. You've got the former Iowa State quarterback Deckers, who he lost the rest of his eligibility. There's the former Iowa offensive lineman who bet $10 on a women's game, gone forever. He's done. And so how much of this, because I was having a conversation earlier in the show with someone else. So the NCAA obviously deemed him ineligible, and then he just went to the courts to go around them. And the guy that I had on earlier made a point of this is really the NCAA's fault for not having stuff in place in writing to kind of keep this from happening. How much of this is the NCAA's fault?
I mean, to be frank, right, you can point to sort of the structural issues that the NCAA is facing right now, but this is as explicit as I can ever remember of the court just saying, you just don't have authority. We don't care. Yeah. I don't know that the NCAA could have done anything different at this point, because here's the other thing too, right? Let's go back this entire offseason. You have the Trinidad Chambliss case at Ole Miss. You have, the Joey Aguilar case and Chandler Morris case, which went the other direction at Tennessee and Virginia. But like, what ultimately has happened in so many of these cases, actually, let's include the Diego Pavia case last year at Vanderbilt as well. What's ultimately happened is like all these people have kind of just gone, let's try to find a venue that's favorable to us, right? Because the NCAA is considered a national entity, so they can be sued anywhere. They don't just have to be sued, for example, in Indianapolis. You also have, and so like all these people are kind of like, let's just challenge every rule and see, like, not only do we have to wait for a trial to happen, right? Because the trial is set to happen now. The date that's been scheduled is February 8th, 2027. But it means that you're able to play until then, and you're just running out the clock at a certain point, right? Maybe on February 8th, the court comes back and says, no, this is dumb. Of course, you shouldn't have been ruled eligible, but he would have already have played his senior season, right? So it's really more of a waiting game that they're trying to play out. And so, like, I don't think that there's anything that the NCAA could have done differently. Now, they're going to appeal, and they actually have already filed an appeal to go to the 7th Court of Appeals in the state of Texas. We'll see what the timeline is. There's no guarantee that it would happen anytime soon, right? But, like, we are reaching the point that the reason that you're seeing college athletics go to Congress and say, please help us, is because they need an entity, frankly, that's stronger than lower court decisions.
Joined by Shehan Jayarajuh, who's all over this Brendan Sorsby stuff, the Texas Tech expert over there at CBS. He's got a great article up right now on the Brendan Sorsby ruling. And you were talking about the importance of entities and all that legal verbiage that I really struggle with. One of the interesting things about college football compared to every other college sport is that the NCAA is not in charge of the playoff. You have this separate college football playoff specific entity that is in charge of that. How would that entity be able to come out and be like, hey, Tech, you can't play in the college football playoff this year if you play Sorsby? Is that an option? If it is, how likely is it that something like that would happen?
So here's the thing that you have to think about if you're the college football playoff committee, is that he has been essentially like ruled eligible by the court, right? The courts now give him a certain level of protection because he got a ruling in his favor, right? So if you were to, for example, say, we're not even going to rank Texas Tech, we're not even going to consider them, we're not going to let them into the playoff. Well, like technically that's going against a court order, right? And so then all of a sudden, the college football playoff, for example, could get themselves in legal hot water. Now, again, maybe they go to court, maybe it's decided that it goes in their favor, but they'd have to potentially be involved and party to a major lawsuit, right? So like from a pure like avoiding litigation perspective, I think that like, I don't think that there's any way. And, I know that I think that some people had conversations with the playoff committee, and they kind of were like, we probably would not try to do that, right? Because again, you don't want to be embroiled in the middle of something. Now, I think what'll be interesting is that scrutiny, because again, like when you talk about the postseason, the playoff, like that's an entity that can be sued, for example, right? I do think that there will be some AP poll voters, for example, who are just like, I'm not ranking Tech. Like I'm not putting them on my ballot. Maybe I'm knocking them down or something like that, right? Because again, like they're probably not going to sue the Post and Courier's beat writer, right? Like that's probably just not really what's going to happen, right? And so I do think there will be backlash. I do think that it will impact their standing a little bit, but when it comes to actual on field, when it comes to actual playing for the Big 12, obviously people have talked about canceling games. And when it comes to playoff selection, I think that that's going to be a bridge too far because of the legal questions it could bring up.
You brought up the canceling of games. How? Because like I know the Big Ten is meeting later in the week to talk about not scheduling Tech in any of the three major sports. Georgia's already made that ruling. Nebraska has talked about it a little bit. Ross Dellinger, I believe it was, from Yahoo, had some stuff on the Big 12 ADs talking about that. How real is that?
Yeah, and actually, we just got a message from Brett Yormark saying that they completed their meeting just now with Big 12 athletic directors. So like that's confirmed have happened. There's a couple pieces to this, right? I think that Georgia and Nebraska, for example, both announced publicly, actually, that they would not schedule Texas Tech for any sports at this point because they're allowing Brendan Sorsby to play. There's conversations that the Big Ten potentially would try to ice out Texas Tech as well from scheduling any sport, not just football, right? I think that something like that is more likely to happen / continue than existing games being canceled, right? Because again, like to go back to what I said about the playoff, like you're talking about them potentially, going against a court order, potentially getting themselves into legal trouble. The other piece of it as well is that like the real people who can decide whether these games happen or not are the television networks, right? The television networks, if you cancel big games that have scheduled, I mean, for example, Texas Tech plays against Houston September 18th, Friday night. That's a game that Brendan Sorsby would come back. That's a Fox nationally televised game. If Houston suddenly says, we're just not going to play that game, I mean, that could have major ramifications for what the Big 12 would receive financially with their contractual status with Fox and ESPN. Like, potentially it would be grounds for like Fox to say, we're cutting this contract completely, right? Like, that's, I think, something that's going to be, to say the least, a little bit more complicated than just sort of saying like we're boycotting or whatever, right? So I don't think it's especially likely that existing games will be canceled, but like there's no legal protection for just not scheduling a game against Texas Tech, right? I mean, if Georgia softball says we're not, we don't want to schedule you later, like that's not illegal, right? Now, again, we start getting into the sort of collusion realm and stuff like that, that maybe turns into something else. I don't think that's likely to happen, but again, like if you're Texas Tech, you're looking around being like, ooh, I don't know if I expected all of this.
Cody Campbell doesn't seem to care. I don't know if you've seen his tweets and things. Again, joined by Shehan Jayarajuh, who does a great job covering the Big 12 for CBS Sports. We're talking about the Brendan Sorsby decision at Texas Tech. And kind of as you've explained everything, it kind of feels like every idea is like a moot point. It's like, if we do this, we're going to get sued. If we do this, then we can leave money on the table if we're not playing these nationally televised games. Are we just kind of in for a season of Brendan Sorsby, whether we like it or not?
Well, I think that this moment is going to be very interesting and very important because one, I don't know Brendan Sorsby personally. I have heard from people like he is generally regarded as a very high character individual in terms of like the way that he handles himself and, that he's a good presence and all this sort of thing. Obviously, you have to hold that with him also having done the things that he's done. I'm very curious, right? Like this pressure is real. I want to be clear about that, right? Like there are conversations happening in the Big 12. They are being targeted by other programs and things like that. We even saw, for example, the Oklahoma Attorney General coming out and against this decision. Like, again, the pressure is legitimate. I don't think that Texas Tech is going to prevent Brendan Sorsby from playing. I think that ultimately they will give him the opportunity to play. What I am curious about a little bit is whether the pressure ultimately gets to Brendan Sorsby a little bit. Because again, like he's one guy, right? Like he's one guy who obviously made a big mistake, but like, we obviously they've talked a lot about his gambling issues and his anxiety disorder, right? Does this become such a level of scrutiny and hatred and all this sort of stuff that even he is maybe like, maybe this isn't the right thing, right? Like maybe I am trying to make myself in some ways bigger than the program. And again, I think Texas Tech will back him. I think that Texas Tech will stand by him. But I think it's a reasonable thing that people in Sorsby's camp also have to consider. So again, if you ask me right now, I think that Brendan Sorsby is probably going to be playing college football this fall. I think that he probably will be leading Texas Tech. But like, again, it's not that necessarily somebody else is going to step in and change it. I think that it really is going to be a question of, hey, Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby, is it worth it for you to be going through all of this for a player who, again, is very good, but probably also isn't going to transform your season even?
Really? That's interesting. Because the way that I've understood it, and again, like when stories like this make national stage the way that they do, things can get a little blown out of proportion. And everything that I've read and looked at is like, without Brendan Sorsby, Tech is like a team that's good enough to win the Big 12, but it's probably going to wind up in a pretty similar spot where they play like Oregon or someone in the second round of the playoff and they lose. Whereas with Brendan Sorsby, people are talking about this team like they're a potential like national title contender. Do you see them that way with Sorsby versus without? Like, I guess you said he's not going to like transform their season. So I guess that kind of answers the question, but what do you kind of think about that?
Well, I think that the way that I've described Brendan Sorsby is that he's not really going to raise their floor that much, but he's going to raise their ceiling potentially, right? It's like you said, they could probably go through and almost replicate the season that they had last year, especially with the schedule that they have lined up. Like they could be an 11-1 team, win the Big 12, be, the 5 or 6 seed in the college football playoff. And they have a quarterback, by the way, in Will Hammond waiting in the wings that they really like. He just tore his ACL in October, so he's a little bit still recovering from injury, right? So like that's sort of the big thing, right? Now, look, I think that there is also a chance that Brendan Sorsby is able to just be additive when you get, like you said, to the college football playoff. I mean, look, I think that people around there would tell you, like, one, their offensive line was their weak spot last year, and they believe that's going to be a strength this year. And two, they had a veteran quarterback, but he was playing on a broken leg last year. And so, we obviously don't know where Will Hammond is going to be on, let's call it December 18th, right? But like, we do feel pretty good that Brendan Sorsby is going to be at a place where we would want him to be. So I think the thing that gets interesting to me is like, because again, I think that Brendan Sorsby is likely an all Big 12 quarterback. I think that he's, probably a top 10-ish quarterback nationally. We'll kind of wait to see where he settles. But like, again, Will Hammond might be an all Big 12 second team quarterback, and Will Hammond might be, the 25th best quarterback nationally. So what's the relative value between those two things, especially when you're dealing with all of this?
Joined by Shehan Jayarajuh from CBS Sports, doing a great job covering the Brendan Sorsby story. Last thing for you here, and I'll let you go. I've had several people in our YouTube comments bring up the point of Texas Tech's schedule. Not great. Could that be grounds for the College Football Playoff Committee? I guess, could the College Football Playoff Committee use their schedule as a way to keep them out, even though we really know why they would be keeping them out? Because they're probably going to go undefeated with Sorsby. What is the potential of that?
I mean, for one, keep in mind, right? Like they will get an auto bid for if they were to win the Big 12, right? So they'd be in regardless. So that's one piece of it. Let's say though that they were a 10-2 team. Well, let's say they were 11-1 and lost in the Big 12 title game to BYU, for example, right? I think that they'd put themselves on the bubble, certainly, because of their schedule. I think that certainly you would expect that they would not get a benefit of the doubt, I guess you could say. But also, again, like if they in the metrics are ranked number 5 and the committee ranks them at 14, again, that's something that I think becomes inserting yourself, right? So it's something to think about. Again, I still think that Tech is very likely to win the Big 12. But if they're a 12-1 team and losing the Big 12 title game, I think it's going to be very hard, for example, to leave them out, especially if their advanced metrics are anywhere near as good as they were last year when they, again, were rated as the number 3 or number 4 team in a lot of these things, right? So it's something to keep an eye on. I would not necessarily say that it's something that I would expect, just because of, again, like I think that if they're 9-3, yeah, for sure. If they're 10-2, it becomes a more complicated conversation. But like I think they would have had these issues regardless of whether Brendan Sorsby was in the lineup or not.
Okay, fair enough. Shehan, thank you so much for your time. I know you're really busy. Besides the Sorsby stuff, which I know you're going to do a great job of covering, anything else coming out in terms of writing or anything like that?
Well, right now we are all wrapped up in this Sorsby thing, but we got a couple more things working in the pipeline as well. So keep your eyes out at cbssports.com.
Awesome. Shehan, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. That is Shehan Jayarajuh. Check him out on X. Follow him at Shehan Jayarajuh. Does a great job, again, covering the world of college football, doing a great job on the Texas Tech stuff right now. As we throw it over to Chris with your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's what's trending this hour. A few stories for you. Mandatory minicamp started today for the Colts. Backups Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard splitting the first team reps to see who will be the primary backup to Daniel Jones. So we'll see how that works out. The Indiana Fever hit a game. Caitlin Clark hit a game-winning 3 to help the Fever beat the Washington Mystics 78-76 last night. They'll host the Chicago Sky at Gainbridge Fieldhouse Thursday night at 7. Indiana Governor Mike Braun confirmed, that the state negotiations are officially in the red zone when referring to the Chicago Bears building a stadium in Hammond. Initial proposals centered on the Lost Marsh Golf Course, but State Representative Earl Harris confirmed that the team is actively exploring a second site closer to Wolf Lake Memorial Park. So there you go. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show after the break on Indie Sports Ticket 1430.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway here on Indy's Sports Tickets. The World Cup starts on Thursday. Team USA plays their first game against Paraguay Friday night, 9 p.m. Can't wait to sit down on my couch and yell about soccer. I know just enough to be dangerous, if you know what I mean. And so for today, for Top 10 Tuesday, figured I would educate the audience a little bit on some of the better player or the best players at the World Cup this year that you're going to want to pay attention to as we get later into the knockout round. So let's get into Top 10 Tuesday.
Top 10 Tuesday.
From draft busts to league MVPs, this World Cup features some pretty incredible career turnarounds. I'm going to count down the 10 best players at the World Cup this year, and I'm going to do my best to Americanize these things as much as possible. Starting at number 10, apologies in advance for mispronouncing these people's names, a midfielder from Portugal, Vitniha. Probably said that wrong, but that's okay. He has gone from a failed loan move, which is basically where you send a guy down to the minors. So he basically gets sent down to the minors. He's playing for Wolverhampton, and basically things don't go well there. And now he's one of the best players in the world. He is my second-ranked midfielder on the list. Think of him like an NFL quarterback who got drafted by a bad team, looked like a bust, and then got traded and became an all-pro. He's basically Sam Darnold. Okay, now this Portuguese maestro played 19 Premier League games for Wolves during the 2020-2021 season. Premier League, best league in the world. But the club decided against making the move permanent and keeping him on their team. He then returned to his old team and was sensational. Now he plays for PSG, think Miami in the ACC, by far the best team in their league. And since then, he's become the best on-the-ball midfielder in the world. Okay, last season, he led PSG to a Champions League title, which is that's the biggest thing that you can win in club soccer. And he hasn't really slowed down since. And Portugal's got a really nice midfield, but it's led by Vitniha. Again, probably saying his name wrong, but trust me, you'll hear it plenty of times during the World Cup. Number 9. We got Virgil van Dijk, a defender from the Netherlands. He's the only defender on this list. He has been the standard at the position since moving to Liverpool in 2018. Think like Alabama, one of the best programs historically in the country. At 6'5", Van Dijk is incredibly fast to accompany his size. In American football terms, he is a 6'5" shutdown corner with Olympic speed. Nobody gets by him. He's won the Premier League. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Champions League, all with Liverpool. With that being said, never done anything internationally to go along with that. He's a little older. He's 34. He's the captain of the Dutch this year, and he's going to be the driving force of a very good Netherlands defense during the World Cup. Number 8, we got Vinicius Jr., a forward from Brazil. Now, no one calls him Vinicius. Everyone calls him Vinny. And very few players grab headlines the way that Vinny Jr., the 25-year-old who recently joined Real Madrid, does. He's incredible. He's won the Champions League twice, including scoring the game winner in both finals in 2022 and 2024. Think of Vinny Jr. like an NBA star who already has 2 finals MVP trophies, but hasn't won gold with Team USA yet. Okay, for the national team, Brazil is going to weigh on Vinny quite a bit. They haven't really reached the heights with Vinny leading the way. It used to be Neymar kind of leading the way for Brazil. Now it's this Vinny kid. He's yet to win any major trophy at the international level, but will be at the front and center of Brazil's efforts this season. He'll play on the left wing for Brazil. Number seventh best player at the World Cup this year. You got Pedri, a midfielder from Spain. He went from playing in Spain's second division, so think AAA baseball, to making 52 appearances for Barcelona, think the Yankees in Spain, in 2020. Since then, he has become one of the best players in the world as a box-to-box midfielder for the Spanish Giants. Think of him as the ultimate NBA point guard who controls the entire game, racks up double-digit assists, and plays lockdown defense. Think 90s John Stockton. Okay, Pedri has already made 40 appearances for Spain internationally at 24 years old, but he's had some injuries. He missed their Euro 2024 run after hurting his knee. But when he's fit, when he's healthy, Pedri is one of the first names on a very formidable Spain team. When, the reigning European champions are playing, expect to see a lot from Pedri all over the pitch. Number 6, we got Michael Olise Olise, I believe is how you say it. A forward from France. Olise was known as a very good playmaker for Crystal Palace in the Premier League, one of the smaller clubs there. Think like Vanderbilt in the SEC a decade ago. Okay. But he's since moved over to Bayern Munich, best club in the Bundesliga, which is the biggest league in Germany. And he's like a baseball player that went from hitting 280 for a small market team, got traded to the Yankees or Dodgers, and all of a sudden he's starting to crank out 50 bombs a year. Okay, this guy's from London. He has 41 goals and 46 assists through his first 2 seasons with Bayern Munich. He's only made 15 appearances internationally for France, but he's going to be very important to them on the right wing this year during the World Cup. Okay, and the French offense this year is really good. The 5th best player at the World Cup this year is Ousmane Dembele, another forward from France. Dembele won the Ballon d'Or award, which is basically like the MVP of soccer. It goes to the best player in the world. He won it last year in 2025 after winning the Champions League with PSG. His career arc is exactly like an NFL superstar who spent 5 years plagued by injuries, finally stayed healthy, changed teams, and then won league MVP. So he's always been talented. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And the one year he did, he won the award for best player in the world. Okay. Dembele played 6 injury-riddled seasons with Barcelona before moving to PSG in 2023. PSG is the biggest club in France, and he's been the star there ever since Kylian Mbappe, another French dude, went to Real Madrid. Okay. So this summer, Dembele is going to be featured alongside Mbappe and Olise. It's one of the best attacking trios in international soccer has ever seen. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Number 4, Harry Kane from England, another forward. So Kane doesn't have the physical traits of some of the other forwards on this list, but he's quite simply the most prolific goal scorer in the world. He's like a classic Major League Baseball power hitter, doesn't really sprint fast, doesn't really look flashy. But if you throw it in the strike zone, he's probably going to send it over the fence. Okay, so Harry Kane used to play for Tottenham. That's a big club in London. He just finished his 3rd season with Bayern Munich. He scored 139 goals and 143 appearances for Bayern. That's incredible. Kane is England's all-time leading scorer with 78 goals. And at 32 years old, he's like an NBA legend who has all the individual stats and awards and scoring titles, but is running out of time to finally win that elusive championship ring. That's what this run is for him with England this year. Harry Kane, the 4th best player that you'll see at the World Cup. Number 3, young phenom. This is Lamine Yamal, a forward from Spain. He's 18 years old, plays for Barcelona, and you can find people out there who think that he's the best soccer player in the world. Okay, over the last 3 years, Yamal has taken over global soccer. He made his Barcelona debut as a 15-year-old in May of 2023. The only American sports comparison for Yamal is LeBron James coming straight out of high school and instantly dominating the NBA as a teenager. Yamal turned 17 during Euro 2024, during which he powered Spain to win the tournament. Best international team in Europe. That's a big deal. Now, Yamal has suffered a hamstring injury. He hurt it in late April, So he's facing a bit of a health race for the World Cup to make sure he's ready in time. But when he's healthy, I mean, he's just an absolute phenom in the box for Spain. Number 2, second best player in the world is Erling Haaland, forward from Norway. This guy jumps off the screen. Haaland is a 6'5" monster whose speed and size are just unmatched. He is Shaquille O'Neal or Derrick Henry in the world of soccer. Just a physical freak of nature who overpowers everyone in his way. He's scored more than 160 goals in his first 4 seasons with Manchester City. He has established himself as the best scorer in the Premier League. Think of establishing yourself as the best player in the SEC in college football. That's basically what he's done. Okay, and he's been even better with Norway. He's got 55 goals and 49 appearances for them. Next for him is success on the international level. He's won like everything already with Manchester City. This is his first tournament, or his first major tournament with Norway. So going to be really fun seeing him on the World Cup stage for the first time. And the best soccer player in the world, number 1, Kylian Mbappe, forward for France. He may not be the consensus best player in the world right now, but I've seen him be awesome on the big stage before. Mbappe has scored at least 39 goals in each of his last 6 seasons. His pace, his speed is what separates him from guys like Harry Kane, as this guy, Mbappe, can just blow by anybody. Think of him like a superstar NFL receiver who can take a 5-yard slant and turn it into a 90-yard touchdown just using pure, uncatchable speed. Now, Mbappe's been in the headlines recently, and he just finished his 2nd straight season where he didn't win a trophy with Real Madrid. So think of him like a superstar who just had a couple of disappointing playoff exits and is highly motivated to remind everyone who the real king is. He's the captain for France this summer. They should score a lot of goals. 3 of our top 10 players in the World Cup play for France. They all 3 play on the offensive side of the pitch. So France is in an excellent spot to win the World Cup. So is Spain. Those are probably the 2 most popular picks. But those are some of the names to keep in mind when the World Cup starts on Thursday night. I tried to Americanize it as much as possible, comparing them to NBA and NFL type of scenarios. Chris, how excited are you for the World Cup?
Do you want my honest answer?
Yes. No, lie to me.
One of the things that I just realized today on the Real Jonathan Smith show is that I'm about as interested in the World Cup as I am country music. No disrespect to the music or the sport. I'm just not into it, man.
Are you more interested in the World Cup than I am in the WWE?
You're probably more into wrestling than I am the World Cup, and that's saying a lot.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
What is it about it? You don't like being patriotic? What is it?
No, it has nothing to do with patriotism. I think I just have an attention disorder, and if it doesn't pique my interest in about 30 seconds, then it's like reading a book to me. I'm just like, my brain is bored. Let's do something else.
You want to hear my favorite thing about soccer?
Absolutely.
When you watch the NBA or the NFL, there are so many stoppages, and there are so many TV timeouts and commercials and things. Soccer, that is not the case.
Just a full.
They play the full 45. They obviously do like commercials during halftime and stuff, and then you play the other full 45. Like, they're not cutting to commercial. The game is constantly going and moving. That's why I really enjoy it. Also, a lot of the movements are very similar to basketball,
Sure.
Which there's like a lot of give and goes and things like that.
I could see why people like it. It's just not for me. That's all I'm saying.
I get it. Hey, it's, different floats for different boats, Are you more excited for Colts mandatory mini camp or the World Cup?
Mini camp. Absolutely. Did you see the recent, I don't know, they just posted about 10 minutes ago. I don't know who Ruben Lowry is. He was a safety, but he has been already placed on the reserved retired list. I don't know if that's good or bad.
For the Colts?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Ruben Lowry. Do you know who he is?
I don't think he was going to play this year anyway.
Okay.
I mean, let me look. I can find out.
Just random.
If he's on the retired list, then like
Random Joe has announced his retirement today.
Ruben Lowry. Yeah, I'm not seeing him. Oh wait, yeah, strong safety. Wait, is this the guy from the Chargers?
Yeah, I think it is.
Nope, he's not. He's only 23.
Oh,
He's only in his second season. Played at UT Chattanooga. Go choo choos.
what do you think happened to where like you are calling for retirement on the first day of minicamp? I mean, that's got to be drastic, right?
I mean, would you rather someone retire on the first day of minicamp or at the ending of your final preseason game right before the season starts?
Touche, but still.
Shout out Andrew Luck. Oh man, yeah. No, I mean, again, I don't think he was really going to play anyway. He probably had probably got some like medical stuff that's concerning. Would be my guess.
He's got
But
one
yeah.
of those massive like concussion prevention helmets on in his
Yeah,
picture here. So
that maybe it's a head thing. I don't know, but I'll be honest. I mean, if he was playing for the Colts this year, then the Colts were screwed. It's just kind of sorry, that's just the truth. But
so it's not news then.
I mean, like it is because it happened. I don't know if I would like cut out 15 minutes to talk about it.
Understood.
So anyway, you don't need pads to tell the difference between a Corvette and a minivan, which is exactly why all eyes are on the Colts wide receivers this week with Michael Pittman Jr.'s old spot wide open, something Michael Pittman Jr. never was. A massive position battle is brewing down the sideline for Colts minicamp. I'll explain why wide receiver is the only position battle that'll have a movement in Colts minicamp in 3 minutes.
may one day be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
We should start learning things about the Colts over these next 3 practices during mandatory minicamp because they're different from OTAs. Minicamp is mandatory, OTAs voluntary. That means players like DeForest Buckner and Jonathan Taylor are actually going to be there. The whole band is getting back together, which is a good thing. It's easier to know what you've got when everyone is there.
Hopefully it's not the band that hit AR in the eye.
Nice.
Sorry.
Perfect. No, that's good. Evaluating a team during voluntary OTAs is like trying to review a movie when the lead actors didn't show up to the set and the director is just reading their lines. Like, sure, you get the plot, but you don't really know if the thing actually works. Now that it's mandatory, all the stars are on set, and we finally get to see the real movie. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 a.m. So many ways to listen to us. There's really no excuse not to. So we're not going to learn much more than how things fit together with the Colts during these next 3 practices. Like, there's still no pads during mandatory minicamp. So the Colts' goal remains the same. Make sure no one gets hurt. Make sure Daniel Jones especially doesn't have a setback, although I guess earlier Shane Steichen said that Daniel Jones is ahead of schedule. Great. Awesome. Let's keep it that way. That's the biggest goal. Make sure no one gets hurt. Since you can't wear pads, it's tough to learn about the trenches for the Colts, which is, I think, the biggest question mark, especially on defense. And you need those guys to hit each other to know what they've got going on. Now, receiver, there's obviously some position battles there as well. That is where I would like to hear them make some headway. Because, like, you can see if a receiver can create separation in shorts while they're being covered. Like, receivers are a lot by cars. You can tell a lot by just seeing them speed down the highway and listening to the engine. You can tell the difference. Like, the difference between a Corvette and a minivan, pretty big. Don't need to sit in the driver's seat to know that. I can just watch them drive. Okay? It doesn't take long to figure out which car is faster. I think wide receivers the exact same way. Would I like to see them in pads? Sure. Would I like to take the Corvette for a test drive? Absolutely. But I don't always need to do that to know which one is better. Like, if Nick Westbrook-Akine is doing a great job of creating separation from Sauce Gardner, don't need him to be in pads to know that that's going to work. If Ashton Doolin can't get away from Justin Wally in the slot, probably not great. So you don't have to see them in pads to really know. Whereas the trenches, more like picking out a new couch. I know what color I want the couch to be. I know how big I want the couch to be. I know if I want it to be a love seat or a sectional or a 3-cushion couch. And I can look at the couch and see if it meets those requirements or not. Like how I can look at an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman and know if he has the size to play the position. I can watch him run a couple of get-off drills and be like, yeah, he has the explosion that I'm looking for. Yeah, go ahead. Yep, absolutely. I don't know if I like a couch, though, until I sit on it. Is it soft? Can I fall asleep on it if I need to? Is it too firm? Does my theoretical dog's hair stick to it? One day, the dog will not be theoretical. I'll have a Great Dane named Tiny running around, and it'll be awesome. Okay? You have to make contact with the couch to know if you really want it or not. Offensive and defensive linemen are the same way. You can stand around and you can look at them princess touch each other without pads on and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You can see how well they move and you can get an idea if this is what you're looking for or not in terms of a pass rusher or an offensive lineman or whatever it ends up being. But ultimately, you have to see them make contact before you know if they've really improved or not. So I don't expect to hear much about the Jalen Tuimoloau and Arden Key position battle for who's going to start opposite of Leatu Latu. With that being said, I do expect to hear stuff about the wide receiver battle. 7-on-7s, 9-on-9s, 11-on-11s should be a nice little reporting ground on which receivers are taking the bulk of the reps at the Z spot to fill Michael Pittman Jr.'s vacancy. Because that's still a question. It doesn't seem like there's a front runner for that open receiver spot quite yet. Again, I like Doolin for the spot, but we'll see who winds up taking it. You know, I like the reliability of Ashton Doolin. There's a reason why the Colts went to him last year when A.D. Mitchell was hanging out in the doghouse. Okay, so that's, I think, the only position battle of real importance that we're going to be able to get a real look at in terms of guys separating themselves from others in terms of who's going to be the starting wide receiver opposite Alec Pierce week 1. Maybe it's Deion Burks. Maybe he has some really impressive practices. We'll kind of have to wait and see on that. Obviously, Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson are battling it out as well. But it's the backup quarterback spot. Who cares? You know, if Daniel Jones doesn't play, the Colts are probably going to lose, whether it's Anthony Richardson or Riley Leonard back there taking snaps. And look, it's the quarterback position. You know, Notre Dame fans are obviously invested because it's Riley Leonard. Anthony Richardson's the former number 4 overall pick. But, you know, arguing between those two guys is like arguing over which spare tire you want in your trunk. You know, if Daniel Jones is healthy, the tire's going to stay locked in the dark all year, and no one's going to care. And let's be honest, Anthony Richardson is like a high-end sports tire we're trying to sell on eBay right now anyway. Riley Leonard is the reliable donut we're actually going to ride with if things go flat. So, yes, it's a quarterback competition, but at the same time, it's not really. It's going to be Riley Leonard. The receiver battle is really the only thing worth paying attention to over the next 3 days during Colts mandatory minicamp, which, again, it's only 3 days, but you can learn a lot in 3 days. Just ask Diana Rossini's husband. Still current husband, who that'll probably change at some point.
I mean, somebody already retired today, so
that's right.
There's going to be news. Well, look at Ross's comment in the chat there. Who's the NFL equivalent of those ridiculous 3-wheel Batmobile-looking things? I'm not sure what he means by that. Do you know?
3-wheel Batmobile-looking things. What? Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Okay.
I know, like the cool motorcycle in The Dark Knight.
Maybe he's trying to relate to your analogies.
I think he's talking about the I don't know what they're called. I know what he's talking about. The slingshots. Google a slingshot car. You've seen one before. Promise you have. They've got 3 wheels, 2 seats.
Yeah, I think I know what it looks like. I'm just trying to figure out what the equivalent NFL wise. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know what the NFL equivalent of that would be. Like a knockoff, I guess. I don't know. I would have to think about that. That's tough. Buzzer chiming in with no first rounder again. This will suck when the Colts win just 3 games. They'll win more than 3 games. I mean, when you work through the schedule, there's 3 wins on here. You know, like Cleveland probably going to win that game now that there's no Myles Garrett. Cincinnati, week 16. Will Joe Burrow be healthy? Probably not. That game will be winnable if he doesn't play. They play the Titans twice. Those games are winnable. The Giants game is going to be winnable at home. The Dolphins game is incredibly winnable at home. Outside of that, though, it's a fair point, man. There's just not a lot of winnable games on this Colts schedule. It does feel like. So, you know, I don't know. I just, again, I'm excited about the secondary this year because I do think that the secondary is going to be good enough to lead the Colts to some wins. But ultimately, like, if Daniel Jones isn't as good as he was last year, which, again, he wasn't very good last year, but, you know, we don't like to remember that part, then, you know, the Colts are pretty much done for. That's just the reality of it.
I think a lot of it will be circumstance circumstantial too. Whatever circumstances, whatever. I don't know that word.
Circumstantial, you had it. You're right.
But like you come up on the Chiefs, right? There's no guarantee that everybody on the Chiefs is going to be healthy. We could catch them on a bad week, and one of these tough teams could be going through some injuries, and the Colts might get a freebie or something.
That is the one thing in the Colts' favor this year. Like when you go to their depth chart last year, right? Like Daniel Jones obviously gets hurt. Backup quarterback Anthony Richardson gets hurt. Alec Pierce missed a couple of games. Josh Downs missed some time. The offensive line stayed decently healthy. Who else out here got hurt? Jalen Carlisle got hurt. He was the starting linebacker last year. Sauce Gardner, when they made the trade for him, like he got hurt. Javarius Ward missed a lot of time. Justin Wally missed the entire year. Who else out here came out here and got hurt? What's his name? Oh, this is gonna bother me. Gosh dang it. Anyway, a lot of Colts players got hurt, and you would think that their health luck would swing in the other direction this year, because that's really what being healthy is in the NFL. A lot of it is just luck based, and I am hopeful that the Colts can stay healthy, because that is half the battle, right? Like when you go to the Super Bowl that the Eagles won a couple of years ago, all 22 of their week 1 starters started in their first playoff game. And like when you're that healthy that late in the year, like you're going to be better than teams. So, like you said, there's a lot of injury luck that's going to be impactful throughout the game, but we'll see. I don't know. Or throughout the season, not throughout the game. But yeah, we'll see. I'm intrigued by it. You would think that they would be healthier, but we'll see. Fun fact, Karl Anthony Towns is yet to score. Wohler, thank you, Ross. Hunter Wohler hurt his foot last year. He's back now as well. He was, we'll see if he's any good or not, but we'll see. Karl Anthony Towns is yet to score a point in the fourth quarter of the finals. And some people would say that's an indictment on Karl Anthony Towns. I would say that's an indictment on Jalen Brunson. Spurs Spurs take game 3 last night. We all know Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the finals, but he didn't score a single point in the final 4 minutes and 50 seconds of game 3. How did San Antonio survive? They got a little bit of something they hadn't been getting much of. I'll tell you what that was in 3 minutes.
best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Will Hammond, Indiana ever host a Super Bowl? What a question from Chris during the break.
It'll never happen. Ever.
It's 30 minutes from downtown Chicago.
I don't know, man.
And like the infrastructure there, this is again like the thing that I think a lot of people miss. Like they're gonna build hotels and things while that stadium is being built. I mean, like they'll have plenty of time to put all those things up. Now, like, well, year one, like it would probably take like a decade, but never's a long time.
It's I don't know, man. It's not going to be like this utopia that like is bloomed out of the ground or anything. It's hard enough to get a Super Bowl in Indy, let alone Hammond.
Yeah, but Hammond's 30 minutes from the third largest city in the country.
I don't know, man. How many Super Bowls were there in Chicago anyway?
None, because the stadium's outdoors.
All right.
That's like one of the things with the Super Bowl. They play it in Florida where the weather's usually nice in February, or they play it in a dome where the weather's always nice because there is no weather. Because they don't want the Super Bowl to be decided by snow.
I get that.
That's part of why, like in Buffalo, that's why the new stadium that they built this year, that's part of why it's in a dome, is so that they can host the Super Bowl at some point.
I don't know, man. I could never see a Super Bowl happening in Hammond, regardless of, it's just a half hour away from Chicago. Okay, then what are we, you know what I mean?
They wouldn't frame it that way. They wouldn't be like Super Bowl site 2035 Hammond, Indiana. It would be Chicago.
We would have to.
That's what they would say.
Probably. We would have to build a Chicago in Hammond to make it worth looking at. Hammond would have to look like Chicago, basically. Because you're not going to advertise it and be like, Super Bowl's in Chicago, but it's actually in Hammond. I just don't ever see it.
But Hammond's a suburb of Chicago.
I get it, man. It's just, I don't know. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's a great question. I think it's such a funny question. Hammond, Indiana hosting the Super Bowl is.
You ever played like SimCity, the old game where you built a city?
Love that game.
So if you like took all the most expensive buildings that you could build and put them in Hammond, then you might think about it. But like if you're just putting a dome there and a few hotels, okay, but there's not going to be a Super Bowl there.
They'll put more than that there. Like that place is going to be. I think part of why, this is me assuming, and I'm not good at political stuff. I'm assuming part of why Indiana wants to have the stadium there is because like you're going to see more than just like hotels go up there. Like people are going to bring restaurants to Hammond. They're going to bring other small businesses there because every Sunday you're going to have all these people flooding into your town and like they need to eat food. If they're coming in from out of state, then they obviously need like a hotel to stay at. Airbnbs are really popular businesses right now as well. So like you'll see people build different kind of Airbnb sites and things. Like the whole like infrastructure of the town, I think will improve because of that. And like Ross said, the Super Bowl just was had in Santa Clara an hour outside of San Francisco.
Well, that's California compared to Indiana also. I mean, and it's great that there's a dome. The Bears making the NFC Championship is probably the best result that we will probably see out of Hammond. I just don't ever see a Super Bowl happening there.
I don't know. I mean, if you can't, I mean, if they're going to play it in Nashville at the Titans' new stadium, that's not even in Nashville,
right?
It's like I don't think that that's a huge difference from Hammond. It's a suburb of Chicago. Like it's, I don't know. It's not like they're playing it in. I don't know. It's not like they're playing it in like, I'm trying to think of like a small. It's not like they're playing it in Jasper. You know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm sure they'll build it up correctly. I just don't know if it'll ever be Super Bowl size. That's all I was saying.
Okay, we'll see. I think it will be at some point.
It'll definitely flourish for sure, absolutely, or else they wouldn't even consider it. But Super Bowl wise, I don't see it happen. I don't know.
We'll see. There's a bit of a wait list. What, the 2031 or 2030 is when it's going to Tennessee. So, like it'll, to your point, like it'll take some time for all those new businesses and things to kind of show up. But once they do, like I think Hammond will be pretty nice. which is a really weird thing to say. Speaking of nice, did you see the Caitlin Clark game winner last night?
I did. What a shot.
I know. She finally played well. I mean, 4-10 from 3, only turned the ball over 3 times. Nice. About time.
Yeah. Part of the Commissioner's Cup, too. That's now the second win, right? And
Yeah, they're 2-0, I think. They won their first one against the they beat the Mystic last night.
Right. They played New York on Saturday, which I think they lost.
Is that right?
Do you have to win all the games in the Commissioner's Cup, or is it like the?
It's like the NBA Cup where you're in a different pool.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you're right. They lost to the Liberty on Saturday, but they beat who's the other team they beat? They beat the Dream in their first game. We got a caller. Nice. 317-228-1430 if you want to call in. So, but yeah, I don't know. All right. Enough with the fever there. Let's talk a little bit of NBA Finals. Spurs making it a series last night. Who's on the line? Oh, Buzzard. What's going on?
Hey, not much. Hey, I'm a little late on this topic, but as far as on the Super Bowl to Hammond deal, you're spot on. There's definitely going to be hotels built like crazy. If you guys remember that, I believe I'm right, the JW Marriott, the giant flipping hotel by, Victory Field, that was built just for that Super Bowl, as well as a whole bunch of, a town will build up stuff around it just for the Super Bowl, let alone not to even mention it's, they're going to have it for the Bears anyway. So, it'll get built up. I'm sure the stadium they build, if they do build it there, will be ridiculous enough to where they'll want to hold it, especially if it's indoors. So I would bet sunglasses on a Super Bowl in Hammond, Indiana.
Buzzer, do you think Hammond, Indiana gets a Super Bowl before Indy gets their next Super Bowl?
Yep. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
By far.
All right. There we go. Full of hotels and Dollar Generals and Waffle Houses.
There needs to be like $7 Generals in Tipton and all these other places. So there never can be enough Dollar Generals.
That's right. That's hilarious. Yeah. No, look, it'll take time, because like you said, like the new stadium, I'm sure will be super nice. Like all the new ones are. It'll probably take them, I think, a little bit longer than Nashville, though, just to give the city time to build the proper infrastructure to host some sort of event like that. So, but like that's why they plan it out so far down the line. Like when we've got 5 years until Nashville hosts, so they've got 5 years to kind of work on all those things.
Right. Hey, I do got a question for you guys. A random off the topic question. If you could see, I've got one in mind. If you could see anything less on your Twitter feed, what would it be? Because mine would be Caitlin Clark reactions of saying that she's moping or like whatever. I've had enough of that on my feed. I just want to watch basketball.
I get a lot of the like Caitlin Clark engagement bait stuff. Like,
right.
This referee made a face after she called this foul.
Yeah.
They hate
that's
her.
What I'm talking about.
I would want less of that. And I think I want less of just like the normal, I don't even know what to, like these like engagement accounts where like they just repost old stuff. Less of that kind of stuff as well.
Well, it's just watch Wemby, flop when Brunson hits him or like whatever. So it's the engagement farming is killing me.
Yeah. What is something that you wish you could see more of?
Oh, more of? Jeez. Anything of like actual breakdowns of where somebody does something good and they point out quickly, here's a great play or, here's whatever. So I think actual things that actually take intelligence, which, maybe X isn't the place for that.
I've got a guy for you if you want more basketball stuff like that.
Puppies
more
are always
puppies.
Good. I'm just joking.
No,
yeah,
I like puppies.
What kind of puppies are you talking about?
True. That was excellent.
That was excellent. Jackson Frank on X is really good for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
If you want more of that like intellectual breakdown, he's really smart. Mo Tequila as well. That's Dakhila, I think is how you spell it. He does the podcast with Jared Dubin. He used to be the video coordinator for San Antonio. And so he's really smart as well. Those are two really good basketball guys for you.
Okay. So somebody that sounds like more tequila. I'll look it up.
Yep. That's exactly what it sounds
That's
like.
accurate. That is correct.
So yeah, there you go. All right, Buzzard. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, guys. See you. Thanks.
See you. You didn't answer the question, Chris. What do you want to see less of on your feed?
We kind of talked about this earlier, man. I think X is for people who like to watch the world burn in some scenarios, and I try to avoid it the best I can. Since I work for our sister stations as well, I have a lot of music. So bottom line, I would probably like to see a whole lot less of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
That's fair.
Because she seems to pop up in every possible post that has to do with music. And then, of course, Travis Kelce. Did you see that they're rumored to possibly get married in Madison Square Garden? Have their wedding in MSG?
I did not see this.
Is that really necessary? As somebody that goes to a lot of weddings like you do, would you attend a wedding in an arena?
No. Like, look, if I was them, it would be my goal to have the smallest wedding ever. Like, family only. If that was me. Because, like, people are crazy and Swifties are crazy. And, like, they're going to figure out where the wedding's at.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and that's probably why they're talking about having it at MSG. Because, like, I'm sure that they know a lot of people. There'll probably be some, like, weird fan giveaway thing.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, even if they just showed it on a big screen in MSG, it would probably still sell out. And that's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so I not everything needs to be for money, and I think a wedding is one of those things that doesn't need to be about making money.
Right.
Selling tickets to your wedding would be crazy.
Absolutely.
That'd be crazy. They should have like different level tickets. It's like $1,000 for general admission, $5,000 you get to give a speech, $10,000 you get to sing a duet with Taylor.
Get 25 grand to be a best man.
Oh, that'd be sick. That'd be awesome, actually. Dude, being at Travis Kelce's bachelor party would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
That would be,
Yeah. I agree.
He's a little wild, That'd be incredible. Man, incredible stuff. All right. Game 3, Spurs Knicks, really quickly. The short answer is this. The Spurs did a much better job of getting Wemby the ball around the rim. He took 7 shots inside of the restricted area alone in the first half. So many more dunks, so many more layups. That's in their end of the game shot making. Like, Wemby didn't score a point in the final 4 minutes and 50 seconds of that game last night. It was a lot of Steph Castle. De'Aaron Fox ended up hitting that pull-up mid-range jumper to kind of put the game away. And San Antonio needs more of that because Wemby's just not polished enough offensively to just go get you a bucket when you need it. And so they need the other guards to kind of help close the games. And if that happens, then they're going to have a chance to come back and win the series. But if they don't, then go ahead and give it to the Knicks in 5. Now let's give it over to Chris for what we learned today on The Real Jonathan Smith Show.
All right, class. What did we learn today?
She came in kind of hot. Sorry about that. All right, here's what we learned today. Here's what we learned today on The Real Jonathan Smith Show. A Great Dane in an apartment is like a bull in the China shop. Thanks, Otter Creek, for that. We learned that it's probably okay to bet on your own team if the court judge is a school alumni or accepts wire transfers. Jonathan uses sports as reasons to leave birthday parties early.
That's right.
We talked about this as well. We learned that no disrespect to the sport, but I'm about as interested in the World Cup as I am country music. No disrespect to either of those, but that's just me. We also learned that I may or may not be getting drafted into Jonathan's friend group. Kind of looking forward to that.
You are. We accept everybody, man.
All right, man.
Come on.
Very good. One of the reasons why visitors from overseas would want to stay in the U.S. is Waffle House.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter what sport is on TV. There's never a bad time to go to Twin Peaks. And that's what we learned today on The Real Jonathan Smith Show.
Why do you like Twin Peaks so much?
The scenery is excellent.
There you go.
The food is nice.
Okay.
And they have these mugs that are like frosty, right? Like I'm not even a big drinker, but whenever you get something on tap, their mugs, they stay frosty. I don't know how they do it. It's crazy.
My my grandparents-in-law were like, "Oh, they opened up a Twin Peaks. We've never been there before. We should go." And Amelia was like, "You should absolutely not. You should absolutely not go."
No, you should. And we will. Sorry, Amelia.
Oh, man.
What was the other one? There was one that was kind of similar to that. It used to be downtown. I don't remember. Tilted Kilt. You ever been there? It was
Nope.
kind of similar to it back in the day.
Not my scene, man.
All
Not
right.
my scene. But hey, it's all right. As we said multiple times today, different floats for different boats, you know?
Okay.
Thanks for tuning into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. We'll be back on tomorrow, noon to 3 with a little over the hump day. I'm going to do one of my favorite segments that I get to do once every 4 years with the World Cup coming around. You don't want to miss it. We're on tomorrow, noon to 3. We will talk to you then. See ya.